Hello, everyone. This is Ring into Focus, the flagship show of the new channel, of the revamped channel, World Wrestling Veneration. I am your host, Gorilla Pontoon, aka Tim. You all know me very well. Share the link out there on all platforms. Let's get other people to know me, guys. There's a lot of ground to cover here. We know that we cover other media, but we need to start covering wrestling more. My last couple of wrestling videos have done really well. We need to expose the woke media, the woke fandom of wrestling as well. They're trying to change the face of the industry, of the fandom, of the history. And we got to stop that, guys. And plus, let's have some fun and let's do some predictions tonight for Wrestlemania weekend. Share the link out there on all platforms and let's have some fun. And we also plan, FYI, right now, after each night, we plan on going live and discussing shortly what happened on the night before. So be ready for that. We're going to have some fun. Plus, all these links I have pulled up. Just so much fun to have tonight. And by the way, like after we're done, you can run on over to wherever you can find it. And the Hall of Fame is going to be going. It's late as hell tonight. A really late Hall of Fame, guys. So be excited for that. It's been a while since we've gone live at all, and this is a very special event because I have days off from work. That's the only reason I'm going live. Regular live streams aren't back. Maybe in a couple of months. We'll see what happens. We've got Mr. T in the house. Looking forward to this conversation. Yeah, I'm going to have someone joining me a little bit later, so get ready for that, guys. King Chris, super member, longtime supporter, and Mod is in the house. There's the other channel. We're multi-streaming tonight. We'll probably take it down on USA and just leave it up on the new channel, on the revamped channel on WWV. It's pretty funny, though, wrestling on USA, right? How many times did you hear that in the 80s and 90s? And even in the 2000s, 2010s, and 2020s. And King Chris is saying howdy, Tim, because guess what, guys? We say howdy here. Everyone make sure to subscribe. Do it. Like I said, we need to build that channel. Already got 10 subs over the last 24 hours. We really need to start covering wrestling like no one is really doing it. Covering the woke fandom and the woke wrestling media. And then the source guys, just like the Doomcocks of wrestling, they were around first, right? I was on the Star Wars forums in the late 90s, and there were those people that had supposed sources, but the wrestling sources, they were the first ones. The bullshit guys making stuff up in the late 90s in the magazines. Oh, this is going to happen. And yeah, right. Never turned out that way. Jordan Star Wars is here. Agree. Hit that like button, guys. Share the link out there on all platforms. It's showtime. And Sting apparently will not be at the Hall of Fame tonight because Tiny Khan will not let him go. You know, because how is it going to hurt Tiny Khan's company if he lets Sting? It would probably help, to be quite honest. But that's how petty Tiny Khan is. Papa Palpatine's Pizza Padawan is in the house. Don't space me yet. Yeah, I don't know. Like, anyone is up for a spacing. You guys know that. Anyone is eligible. Oh, I missed this. Melissa Lord, first ever member of a channel in the house with the heart, fairy, and blowing kiss custom emojis. Or I'm sorry, regular emojis. First ever member of the channel and big Sting fan, as we all have learned over the years. So glad to have her in the house. Let's see. We've got Sky Abyss 101, a.k.a. Steven Salcedo is with us. What's going on, Steven? A streamer and content creator in his own right. S. Morgan 2303, what's going on? We got to come up with a name for the defenders of real wrestling, you know, like the ring keepers, or I don't know. We got to come up with something. Yeah, and that's one of the stories I have up, guys. That's one of the stories that I have up. Roman Reigns acknowledging the man in the White House. I got the story up. I can't wait to get my guests' thoughts on that if they hurry up and show up here. Justin, the Star Wars Marvel purist, is in the house. What's going on? WWE will never be as good as WCW. Well, it depends how you look at it, man. They won the war, right? They won the freaking war. Will Cena be speaking Chinese? Yeah, that's the question. And, you know, this is what needed to happen. And I can go into this later, but I can go into it now because I'm waiting on my esteemed colleague to show up. But this is what needed to happen. The Cena heel turn had to happen because for years, right? Fans, the older fans had been booing him because they didn't buy into the 80s shtick that they were doing in 2006, 2007. So this angle, this storyline gave fans the chance to do that, to boo John Cena. So good for them. I'm glad that they had the balls to do it. You know, when certain people are gone now, like Vince is gone, so they can do this kind of stuff. They have the balls to do it. So I'm glad they did it. And you can tell, here's the thing, like you can watch this stuff and yeah, they're doing a great job. And I don't really like the guy, right, on a personal level, but you could tell he was enjoying it and he's using his acting chops that he's learned over the past 10 years or so in his wrestling role better than The Rock has. And the faces he's making, the expressions, it's really selling the angle. But at the same time, you can tell that he's enjoying the hell out of it. It's like, wow, it's really fun to be a heel, to be a bad guy, right? So I'm glad they're doing it. It's what needed to happen. And that first night at Elimination Chamber, I probably watched it 4 or 5 times because it was such a good turn. It's like, okay, I'm not really surprised, but at the same time, it's like confirming what you already predicted is not necessarily a bad thing. That's the thing. Swerves and all that can be stupid, but when they do what you expect them to do, it's not necessarily a bad thing because when you see it play out, seeing it actually play out in front of you is awesome. So I'm glad that they did it. It's what needed to happen. Speaking of China, Mike Ossius is in the house. Jock Nerdy, Northern California brother, is in the house. What's going on, Ryan? Space them all, says Justin. Yeah, and we'll have to come up with the wrestling version. What are we going to do instead of spacing them? Mr. T says Dave Meltzer reported Nick Khan, WD, and by the way, he's going to come up later in the stream. Nick Khan is on one of the topics. Didn't want to talk to Tony. You mean Tiny? Because apparently Tiny wanted a return for a talent exchange. But take it with a grain of salt coming from, yeah, dude. And you know what? Like the advent of Twitter, and Twitter's been around at this point, believe it or not, almost 20 years, guys. But the advent of it, when it really took off, it exposed people like Meltzer. And here's the thing, I used to listen to his radio show 20 plus years, 25 years ago, like 2000, 2001. I was a subscriber to the dirt sheets and the tiny little typing subject separated by an ellipsis with bad grammar, bad spelling. But you kind of got some of the dirt, right? And some of it turned out to be true, but it was just interesting to read. You wanted to be part of the conversation. So I could dig them up somewhere. I think they're all like in an old Walmart bag. But I was a subscriber to the Observer. But at the same time, like social media, not so much the internet, really exposed people like Meltzer, not just for like sources, but for predicting stuff and being wrong. And there are accounts out there, and that's all they do is like expose Meltzer. And he's getting really old too. Like, he's getting really old. My dad met Andre the Giant back in the 80s. He strained his neck to make eye. Yeah, and he wasn't as tall as they built him. Like, they built him as 7'4.5". He was barely above 7. So when they did interviews and stuff, he would stand like on a block of wood, because Vince himself is like my height, like 6'5", something like that. So he's like, 2 feet above Vince. It's because he was standing on this block of wood. So they did a lot of camera angles and stuff like that to make him seem bigger. Now, the biggest one, probably El Gigante, Giant Gonzalez in WWE. That was his name. He was probably the tallest, I'm thinking. Yeah, and that's the thing. That's like why on the final spacing, that's why I base my diss rap, going after all those people on Bad Bad Man, because that's a legitimate badass rap video from John Cena in the trademark. Yeah, that when he first came out with that gimmick, it was fantastic. But then they just kind of ruined him and turned him into a property for children. So Charles Ratcliffe is here. Yeah, I know. We're gonna talk about that if my esteemed colleague is good enough to show up. Small Time Republic is in the house. Tiny Khan, and that's spelled C-O-N. Tiny Khan is like Dixie Carter. Will only last as long as his dad wants to fund him. So those who don't know, Dixie Carter isn't the one you're thinking of, right? Not Designing Women Dixie Carter. We're talking about the, whatever you want to call her, the owner, runner of TNA, of Total Nonstop Action Wrestling. And here's the thing, Small Time Republic. You could say the same thing about WCW. The only reason WCW ended is because Turner, the company, not the guy, because he lost all that power after the AOL merger, they just didn't want to continue it. Jamie, whatever the hell his name is, said, nope, wrestling is off television. So that devalued the company. WCW was up for sale. Now, if the television contracts came with that, it would have been worth a lot more than it was. But after that happened, Vince effectively bought a tape library and talent. Some of the others, that's why they didn't show up on television. And by the way, I've been periodically rewatching Invasion era stuff. I watched SummerSlam, some great matches. The storyline was stupid at that point. It wasn't a real invasion, but really good matches in that one. In any event, that's why Hogan, Flair, Nash, Hall, all those guys didn't show up until later, because they sat out their contracts and Vince didn't want to buy them out. So the only reason WCW ended is not because it wasn't profitable or any of that shit. It's because the head honchos at Turner said no more wrestling. That's the reason. No other reason. Let's see whom else we have here. Knights of Undercovers here saying howdy. Blue-Eyed Scorpio is in the house saying, I never understood the appeal of Cena. Well, that's the thing. Like, I like that they had him because it was fun when he was like coming out as a face, as a baby face, as a good guy, but everyone could boo him. It was just fun to piss off the kids. And they played that up a couple of weeks ago when they showed that kid. I'm sure everyone's seen that, even if you're not a wrestling fan. It's been out there on social media, this kid and a close-up of his face being like all sad, the big sad because of what Cena did. Like, that was fun. Imagine being in an arena like with your, F Cena sign or whatever it is, when you have all these kids that love him. Same thing with Hogan. Toward the end, people weren't buying into the Hogan shtick. That's going to come up too. Guys, I don't know how long the stream is going to go, but Hall of Fame, I think it's starting in about 4 hours. I think it's 11 o'clock Central in the United States. Late as hell, because I guess they had to run SmackDown, right? So that's happening right now. I don't have access to watch SmackDown. I don't. I have to watch all the recaps on YouTube because I don't give money to woke media corporations. That's exactly true, and that's the thing. They gave the inmates the control, and they couldn't take it away with all those stupid, ill-advised contracts. Bischoff tried to buy it. Yeah, he had that. What was the name of that company he had? He partnered with some Synergy or something like that. And there's a great book. It looks really cheesy and comical, but it's The Death of WCW. Not a huge fan of Brian Alvarez, but he and RD Reynolds, who used to own WrestleCrap.com, I think he still does, they did a great job on that book. Got it right over here, guys, because the Lord of the Core, right? I've got the wrestling lore right over here as well. So I have to show you guys that later. Yeah, they all set it out, but they could have bought him out. They could have, like, Vince could have said, "Okay, we're buying it out plus paying you to come on in," or they should have just delayed the invasion. They rushed right into it, like the greatest WrestleMania of all time. They're coming off that in April. It was April 1st, April Fool's Day of 2001, and then let's just roll right into this weird DDP is a voyeur thing, and then try to do an invasion. No, he wasn't 6'7". Probably toward the end of his life, he had compressed a little bit, but I think he was just around 7 at his tallest. But he was like he did suffer from giantism from that disease, and so did Paul White. But they found a cure for it. So Paul White, aka Big Show, got the cure. Yeah, and that's the thing that pisses me off. Like all these tapes, and like, only 4 seasons of Worldwide, only 2 seasons of Saturday Night. It's like, put all the shit out there. I will pay you literally $40 a month if I can have that. Like, and I've tagged Stephanie and Triple H on X and said I will pay for it, and a lot of other people will. Like, you guys own it. Do something with it. I don't care if it's poor quality. Put it out there. Yeah, Jamie Kilner. That's his name. Correct. I'm really bad with names. I'm surprised I remembered Jamie, to be honest. They just decided it was done, and that's what happened. All right, we got someone in the back, but yeah, it's midnight Eastern, so it's 11 Central. Hella late. We have super member Gabriel Knight gifting 5 USA memberships. We've got Chuck, Grandmaster Chris, Pro Jack fan, Giga Chud. What a great name. And Prodigal, all now members of United Spacers Alliance. Now, I don't think I have a lot of my assets on here. Actually, I do. Look at that. Casting that see invisibility spell. See who's been watching the channel. So thank you very much, Gabriel Knight, super member, longtime supporter at this point. He believes in the cause. Gabriel Knight, thank you very much. We got to play something else. I have some wrestling clips here. Ken Patera, still alive, one of the few people still alive from the old days. Really interesting stories from this guy. This is a clip of him, I think, in the late 70s. It's hilarious. Here we go.
Will you give a message to the women of Miami for us?
The women of Miami, stay in the kitchen and stay in the bedroom. That's it.
Great. Okay.
Fantastic shit. But thank you very much, Gabriel Knight, super member. Yeah, totally agree with King Chris. Make sure you sub to that channel, man. Like, I'd love to get it to 1,000. There's so many wrestling channels. And here's the thing, I could start at some point making wrestling lore channels and not doing it in a Scottish accent. I think that would be a bonus. All right, we got someone in the back. Let's go ahead and bring him on in. From Sydney, Australia, weighing in tonight at an amazing 242 pounds, here is Liquid Blake.
The real champ is here.
So, did you see that promo? Did you get caught up on all the lead up and stuff?
I've been watching some hype packages.
Did you see the one? I think it was 1 week ago tonight. Because again, I don't have access because I don't pay for cable, satellite, streaming, any of that stuff. But it was on SmackDown 1 week ago tonight, and Cody had all the belts since '84. Did you see that?
No.
It was freaking awesome. He had this one. He had the Winged Eagle. He had the one that Hogan beat the Sheik for. He had the one before the Winged Eagle. He had, the Attitude Era one, and then he had like the spinner belt. He had all of them. It was freaking awesome, and he kind of picked them all up and cut a promo on them. It was fantastic. So, what is that belt? What is that you got there?
I think it's roughly around the Invasion era, just before.
Yeah, that was the one that I think Brock had. Remember when they had that weird thing where the
just
champion
after,
would float between brands? I think it was after the Invasion era. Yeah.
Yeah, just after.
Yeah. Is it a toy or is it like a replica?
Yeah, it's a real cheap one.
Okay, because this is a toy. I used to have the Attitude Era one, and unfortunately, I don't have it anymore. So it came like in a zipper, like canvas pouch and everything. It was freaking awesome. But I want to get a Winged Eagle with the actual WWF logo on it, and I have a source for that. It's not an official source, but it's better than the official source. Yeah, that's the undisputed one.
Yeah,
I didn't like it. It didn't look like a championship belt to me. It didn't. It's not big enough.
It's very small.
Yeah,
it's like it needs to be.
Correct.
Be bigger.
It was after they started doing the drafts and all that, and then the champion was floating between brands, and then Triple H came out with the World Heavyweight Championship, which was big gold, and awarded it to himself. So. And that's the one that Randy Orton eventually won. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Who else has shown up in the chat here? Let's see. I think that's it. So pretty good crowd tonight, guys. Yeah. Lots of funny stories to go over. Like let's get into some of that so we just don't start getting into predictions and stuff. Have you been seeing any of this stuff?
Oh yeah, I watched some hype packages on the WWE YouTube because I didn't have any access to any of it. So I've been watching they did this like a playlist of Rhodes and Cena, like the sort of the backstory building to this match, and the I gotta say, but the hype packages, they didn't sell me. Like that one was good because it was really just a build up, of things that had happened. They sort of compiled it, but they did like music video hype packages for the women's triple threat match, the men's triple threat match, and the Gunther and Uso match. But I got they didn't have anything on those old Limp Bizkit music videos, or even the Creed hype packages. Like they were,
some of those Creed ones were great.
Oh yeah, and even just random ones like the Drowning Pool, Let the Bodies Hit the Floor ones that just would hype the.
That actually was on the SummerSlam Invasion one I watched last weekend. Yeah,
and that was a great era of promos. And I was just watching these ones because I've been out of wrestling for a long time, just sort of watching it from afar, and the promos don't sell it the way they used to.
You really have to, for the Cody stuff, you really have to watch Elimination Chamber and then the following 3 Raws. It was one of the greatest moments in wrestling history, that first Raw, when it got really quiet and then Cena's horns hit, and then the entire fucking crowd is just tearing him to pieces. I've never seen that much heat. Probably I have, but not in recent memory. It was freaking amazing. And then their confrontations and all that, it was just, you had to see the whole thing. Hype packages, whoever is building them now is not as good as the people that used to be. In fact, I went out there to WWE's website and I checked for jobs because I would love, because I do video editing. I would love to put together some stuff like that. Like, here's some of my work, guys. Like, give me a freaking job, even if it's part time, and you pay me 40 grand a year, like as a second job or some shit. I would do it, obviously. Juicy Fruit, haven't seen you in a while, in a long time. Hope you're doing well. Funny story, for the past 15 years, ran into Brutai all the time. Yeah, he lives in Florida, right? Most of them do. Yeah, and honestly, and when I first got into wrestling, when he was a heel, he was like my favorite. I just liked his style and all that.
I liked Brutus as a kid.
In fact, my first wrestling toys, I got in a pack. Gosh, I wish I kept the box of the wrestling superstars, the rubber dolls. It was the Dream Team. And I'm an idiot. I traded Greg Valentine for SD Jones to some other kid. It's like, why did I do that? And I don't know where the Brutus went. Look at all the Star Wars toys I've kept since I was a kid. I don't know where that Brutus or SD Jones went, but I wish I had them. So, it's good stuff.
That was such a great line. Each generation they brought out of those wrestling figures.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the ads were great too.
Let's look at this right here. So they've set up these dummies, kind of like those fighter guys you can buy at like your sporting goods store. But look who it is. It's like Logan Paul. And what you get to do is you get to like hit it with a chair. Let's see if we can find actual video of this. I did it for The Rock.
I did it for Mike Tyson.
No, this is the story here, though. Like, I can find the video, but this specific story, breaking a man at hashtag WWE World in Las Vegas has reportedly been arrested today for dropping his pants and showing his exposed anus onto the Logan Paul dummy, which is used to make chair shots from fans. That's how much heat Logan Paul has that people are dropping their pants and mooning him.
Well, they're trying
That is
to
freaking hilarious. They also have one of Dominic here. The two most hated people in the company. So that's actually inventive. Imagine doing that like in the 80s against, Bobby Heenan or someone like that. That's really smart.
Coming in backwards on the camel.
Yeah. So did you get to see that documentary?
No, I couldn't find a copy of it online.
That sucks.
And I don't have Peacock. I don't even know if Peacock's available in Australia. But I watched. I watched some. I guess you'd call them unofficial response documentaries to it, where people maybe have a bit more of the official story than WWE, a WWE sanctioned product might let out. But
do they have Scottish accents?
No, it was compilations of people like Jim Cornette, Jim Ross.
Well, Jim was on the fucking thing.
Yeah, it was like, and it was like a compilation sort of thing of people that were there and their side of the story more, like Lex Luger, a couple others.
Yeah,
I think Bret Hart was on it for like it was some clips for Bret Hart from some interviews from like maybe a couple of years ago. But as a kid, I remember that event so well. Like I liked it as a kid, but I've rewatched it since, and it doesn't hold up. And it's, if you were there live, that event would have fucking sucked. Like Bobby Heenan saved that event in the commentary for a lot of those matches.
By then, I started working. I think I quit really watching on a consistent basis after like Razor Ramon debuted, and he's like my new generation era favorite, right? Like by far.
Oh, Razor was so great back then.
Yeah, but I started working. I'd leave high school and drive down the street to this restaurant, do my homework at a table, and then I'd work until like almost 12 o'clock at night. And I can record it. No, I'm not gonna. I just didn't have time to set up a VCR and all that, so I didn't get back into it until Starrcade 97. So I would hear things going on and all that kind of stuff. But when I dropped out, it's like those fantastic like vignettes from Razor, like at the restaurant and stuff. Do you want me to pick the food from your teeth? What did he call him? Chico, do you want me to pick the food from your teeth, Chico? Can I do that for you? I mean, that was just fantastic stuff. But yeah, so I missed like Undertaker winning the world title, and all that stuff. What was that, like a year into his tenure? Wasn't even
His
a year,
first
I don't
run, yeah.
think.
Yeah, like they built him up pretty quick. Like, well, I think it was a year exactly because I think it was Survivor Series to Survivor Series, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
And I
Well,
really,
like
I really
roughly a
liked
year
his
exactly.
story. He's told this story a couple of times.
Yeah.
Undertaker
The
has
the
about
chair.
singing in the shower.
Oh no, okay.
He's like, he talked to Vince on the phone. It's like, well, do you have any special talents? And it's like, yeah, I'm pretty good at singing in the shower. And he's like, oh no, I'm gonna be like singing in the shower guy, when they bring me in. So
He thought he was
the
it
egg,
was like the egg, yeah.
yeah,
Thought he was gonna hatch out as like a giant chicken or something.
yeah, it was against Hogan. That's freaking awesome. Because
Yeah,
how could you build a guy up?
But yeah, he's told that other story, but about the where he puts the Hogan in the tombstone on the chair after Flair puts it in. Hogan's, oh, you got me, brother. And
Yeah.
Hogan pretended he's done his neck and he's out for like you trying to get compo for a year.
Yeah. Yeah, and that was more about burying Undertaker than it was about getting comp. So
Yeah, but I thought also I think Hogan wanted a bit of a holiday for a while.
because
So he
how
could
do you
go
build a guy up
film
like
some
that?
stuff. Oh,
For sure. How do you build a guy up like that and not have him win the title? Like, where do you go next? You've beaten all these people, the Viking or whatever, the Berserker, and
not just beating them, like just squashing everyone
Yeah.
in the company.
Yep. There was no other way for that to happen. Yeah, you got me, brother. Yeah. I love that story, man.
Hmm.
But at the same time, you just can't hate Hulk Hogan. Like, you just can't. So
You can't hate the image of Hulk Hogan, like the perception of him back then, but like the real life, what he was
but
actually
he's one of those
like.
people. He's one of those people that if you meet him, he's gonna like find some way to win you over. Because I've met people like that, and you know me, I'm I don't know, I'm kind of a pretty callous guy. But certain people I've met, they win you over. I know other people that think they're that way, but they're not. But he's one of those ones that just has this talent for convincing people that they're not full of shit and what they're saying is actually true. It didn't work on Macho Man Randy Savage, but
apparently, well, that was the big controversy they were going into in the unofficial documentaries that I was watching. It was like the is WWE and like people like Bruce Pritchard still towing the company line all these years later, trying to appease Hogan, like trying to stay in his good graces. But at this point, I'd tend to believe maybe Randy hit him a bit more than the jet ski.
Yes, absolutely. Like, why would you get hit like right in the eye by a jet ski, and not on the cheek or why didn't you get brutised, like your entire face shattered? So
well, that's the other thing. Like if it's as Hogan tells it, it's going 40 miles an hour in the water and hits him. He's and it hits him like on the orbital bone. He's got more than a black eye. He's got like a shattered face. Like he'd come out like the Undertaker with that Phantom of the Opera mask.
So let's check this one out. This all happened on the same day, okay? I don't know if you saw this, but Donald Trump received the Ulafala ceremony honor as White House official calls him the tribal chief. I thought this was like a
WWE stunt.
No, I thought it was like a what's the fake news website called? The funny news website.
Like an onion
yeah, the B. Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought it was
Babylon
it
B.
was Yeah, Babylon. I thought it was something like that, but no, this is like a real thing. Donald Trump just received a cultural honor that's turning heads in both political and wrestling circles. The Ulafala, the president, who's also a WWE Hall of Famer. Don't forget that, guys.
Oh yeah,
Was
hair versus
recently
hair match.
was recently presented with the Ulafala, a sacred Samoan symbol worn by high-ranking chiefs. The ceremonial gesture is meant to recognize leadership, respect, and power, qualities often associated with the title tribal chief. But this time, the title didn't go to WWE's Roman Reigns. So I guarantee this, Blake, guaranteed that this motherfucker, the POTUS, is like watching this shit every single week. Like, did you see the angle with him and Vince whenever that was? Was it 15 years ago? Something like that?
Well, yeah, he's had a couple of angles with Vince. I
He
remember
was so into it.
yeah, I remember vividly the hair versus hair match, like the that whole thing, and Vince getting shaved, but the
Yeah.
like he goes to all these UFC events. Do you reckon he'd be at WrestleMania?
Well, that's what I'm going to get to in a minute. Trust me, I'm going to get into that in a minute. But
No,
he, I guarantee he's watching this because remember when he did like the dive and took Vince down and started like throwing punches? Like he loved it. So I guarantee he's watching this shit every single week. I guarantee it. So it's not really surprising that, oh, hey, look, I got to be a tribal chief, and then next he'll be getting a belt or something like that.
the Trump president of the universe, like WWE president of the universe belt.
Yeah.
But
yeah, it was 07. Holy shit, that was a long time ago. I feel old.
Yeah. I can see, like, like the way he sort of carried himself during his like election, his like pre-election and everything, and his last candidacy and his last time running as president, he has that bit of WWE about him, just in his everyday.
Yeah, he does. So here's what happened next. WWE superstar Roman Reigns shows support for Trump ahead of WrestleMania. This was the same day. This was yesterday. And I was so busy yesterday. I literally fell asleep like with my head right here trying to set all this stuff up. And I didn't get a lot of time to like look at news and stuff. But it says Roman Reigns and Donald Trump have one surprising characteristic in common. They are both WWE legends. Reigns, of course, is a former world champ in the business and will again be headlining WrestleMania. That's something we got to talk about. Trump, he's actually a WWE Hall of Famer. Before becoming president, Trump actually hosted WrestleMania 4 and 5. And by the way, we went back and watched 5 about 4 months ago. And he and his guys, all in suits, were like loving it. I think that's when he got into it. He's like, holy shit, this is like fun stuff. Because you can see them reacting. And then Ivana like disappears at some point. She's like, fuck this shit, I'm out. But he stayed there. Like, I think he loved it. And 2 years in a row.
Found it backstage.
Exactly. Yeah. Here's the thing. Name any other WrestleMania that was in the same venue 2 years in a row. You're not going to find it. So, I guarantee he begged him to come back in the 80s. 18 years later, Reigns will battle CM Punk, blah, blah, blah.
I remember
Here's what he says.
That image of Vince getting.
Yeah. Here's what he says. I support our president. Trump is one of those guys where he's got a vast history and a huge background. Reigns, who said the choice for the 2024 election was very clear, told Vanity Fair, he's been in entertainment. He's been in big business, politics. At this point, I'm supporting a bright future for our country, positive and competitive leadership for us to be what we're supposed to be a world leader and carry that respect and do what a world power like us should be doing. So he triggered a ton of the woke wrestling fandom with this. Like, it is freaking crazy out there. Like, if we had time, we would make fun of a bunch of these tweets, but he totally triggered him with that. So that's what happens next. I'm not really surprised. seems like a serious guy, and that culture is really all about, like, at least his part of the culture, because he's literally with the leadership, right, of the Samoan people, like about success and all that. Because remember, The Rock's grandmother, right, was running the Hawaiian territory and stuff.
Hmm.
So, yeah. So I'm not surprised that he wants somebody in office that's going to perpetuate success. And like it or not, guys, like Trump was very successful. Oh, he lost all this money doing this and that. Yeah, but he made up the money somewhere else. He never went broke. That's part of risk in business. So pretty interesting there. So here's what we have next. We have Elite Rockers. I follow them. I don't really think I like them a lot, but they have interesting tweets all the time. Pat McAfee, you know who that is, right?
Heard the name before.
Currently he's color commentator on the shows. Former football player, has a podcast. I'm not a huge fan of him, to be quite honest, but there have been worse color commentators. Just hinted on his show that U.S. President Donald Trump is heading to Las Vegas for WrestleMania 41. This is actually crazy. But there was something else from like Ringside News that says, no, that's not a thing and it's not going to happen. So I believe it would happen. I'm leaning more toward yes than no. And don't forget that TKO owns UFC, right?
Yeah.
Were you on that podcast I did when that happened? I don't think you were. I don't think you could pop on. I think a few months later we were on the lawsuit stream when I was on a vacation day about a year and 2 years ago, I think at this point.
Yeah, going back.
WWE, they own TK owns WWE, and guess what else they own? They own PBR, and they're starting to cross promote stuff. They have a huge event in Kansas City this weekend where the first night, I think it's wrestling. The next, or it's next week. My bad. It's wrestling. The next night is PBR for a couple of days, and then it's not Unleash the Beast like the big show, but it's like one of the lower tier shows. And then Sunday, I think, no, Monday is wrestling is what it is. So they're all the same company now. So I can see him showing up to any of those, and all pretty base companies compared to like Disney or whatever. But unfortunately, they are partnering, like Stephanie's stupid show on Hulu partnering with Disney on that. So really a big bummer. But yeah, if you got to support entertainment, TKO is a pretty good shot versus Disney and WB and all the other ones. So we'll see what happens, but I wouldn't be surprised.
They should UFC should start paying their fighters more, but that's another story.
Why do you say that?
Oh, Dana's been ripping those guys off for years. All the way back to the Reebok deal, the advertising deal, where he basically...
Well, they don't have to take the deal.
No, well, yeah, well, the fighters had to, where you had to sever all ties with other promotional outlets because UFC signed the Reebok deal. And people were losing hundreds of thousands of dollars in advertising sponsorships because the Reebok deal was set up where it was the amount of fights you've had in the UFC for how much you would get paid by Reebok, sort of thing. So even like hot fighters from other promotions that had come in started out with like nearly nothing. But yeah, it's a long, like Dana White not paying fighters is a long story in history, and it's similar to Vince with how he labeled all wrestlers independent contractors. And
I'll have to look into that one.
People didn't like to pay people anything besides just a handshake out the door.
I'll have to look into that one. Not that I disbelieve you, I just want to get like the full story and stuff.
Yeah, there's tons of videos on YouTube, like whole mini documentaries about Dana White and YouTube and UFC fighter pay. Like the top guys that like Conor McGregor and that they got paid Probably not nearly as much as they should have been paid, like percentage wise from pay-per-views and everything with splits, but they got paid money, but there was a lot of fighters that were getting really ripped off. Might be
Right.
better now under TKO. They might have more control over Dana.
Yeah,
It doesn't seem that way.
the promotional thing is tough because, imagine football and baseball and basketball and all that, imagine if those guys are running out into the court with all this different shit. I could see how some organizations wouldn't want that. So I'll have to think about that one before I give like a good opinion on it.
Those rules relaxed a lot as well because they got so much backlash from it. They sort of went back to more traditional sponsorships and stuff.
So check this out. It's out there on Twitter, other social media platforms. This stupid woke fandom. It's just horrible. So in this case, it's this Air account. And this is when, like a week ago, there are 7 black wrestlers on the card for AEW Dynasty. There's only one scheduled for WrestleMania. So I actually replied. I replied there, and I think it was like on a Saturday morning or something like that. And I said, better add one more just to be safe. Yeah. I mean, here's the
So
thing.
they wrestle each other?
Yeah, exactly. Like they get their own ring, right?
Yeah.
Remember World War III in WCW, where they had the 3 rings? You can have a white ring, a black ring, and a Mexican ring. Like, stay in your own ring. Like, we need our own space, right? That's what they're saying now. A lot of these woke types, we need our own
Rey
space.
Mysterio and he's that American dude that he's fighting. They can just like bounce between rings fighting each other.
And you got Bobby Lashley on there, and he wouldn't agree with this bullshit. Like, I made that video on him where he shut down that stupid bitch from one of those stupid websites. I think it was Fightful. Don't quote me on that. It's my own video, but it was months ago. I don't remember. And she's like, "Oh yeah, this and that." And he's like, I don't want to be a black champion. I just want to be champion. And he's a former army guy. I'm not saying he's a super conservative, but he's not one of these woke wackos. I just want to be champion. Just like
Color
Ron
counters.
Simmons.
Yeah, I mean, they're just color counters.
Yeah, that's all they are. And I can't even think off the top of my head, who is the black one on WrestleMania? Oh, it's Bianca Belair. Who gives a shit? I haven't even been thinking about that. All right, let's see here. Yeah, we really do need to become colorblind. Remember, in the 80s, you need to become colorblind. Late 90s, oh no. You can't become colorblind because if you do, then you're denying what happens to the coloreds, right? That's basically what the message was. But this kind of crap right here, this is just one example. It's out there all over the place. Oh, Ricochet, he goes to AEW and look, all these great things happen to him. And no, great things were happening to him in WWE. He was having good matches. He was on the main shows. And then Mercedes Moné, you know who that is, right?
No.
That's Sasha Banks that was in WWE. She was one of their biggest stars. Like, I'm going to go over here, and now she's a complete joke.
Is that the one from the Disney Star Wars show?
Yes, that did the tornado DDT on Boba Fett.
Yeah, that's right.
Boba Fett. Disney Boba Fett. Yeah. So this kind of crap right here, and you go to NXT, and by the way, their show is in about 15 hours. Like Stand and Deliver is like the WrestleMania of NXT. It's at 12 o'clock noon Central Time.
Like the old version of Heat?
No. NXT is like it's like their farm promotion.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, like, are they using it as like a warm up show?
No, it's a whole show. It's a whole show, like 3 hours or whatever.
Scheduled before WrestleMania, or
hours before.
Okay.
It'll end at 3 o'clock, and WrestleMania probably doesn't start until like 6 or 7 o'clock, something like that. And they've been doing this for years. So
I also got to say, I hate this new 2-day format.
Well, here's the thing. Like, it's such a big company now that you got to fit all the talent in there. I don't mind it. Like, and I get it from a traditionalist standpoint. But remember Survivor Series 89? That son of a bitch was like 7 hours long. It's like the VHS tape was 2 tapes. I'm like, how can there be a pay-per-view that long? So I get it, splitting it out. And honestly, if it's making money and fans are showing up to both nights, different fans, different
Oh
sets of
yeah.
them, then why
Well, yeah.
not? Like, I
Well, yeah,
don't
they've
mind it.
built it
It's
into this whole weekend now, and rolling the Hall of Fame into it, everything. I get why they've done it. It probably would have worked better when there was the Raw and SmackDown, like actual separate brands that they were doing,
right,
and you sort of build it up that way. But then you've got to go with what brand gets the second night, what brand gets
right.
to finish the show, sort of thing. So you get the stupid rivalry there. But I I just I don't know. It's also too late for me. Like in March. I mean, I always liked it just at the end of March or like first week of April, something like that.
It's still like
Having it.
it's still winter though, like in the States. I think that's why they're pushing them out more to get more into the warmer weather. That's what I think.
They want to do another outside one in Vegas.
Yeah. I mean, Vegas is in the damn desert, so you should be good before dark, but in the desert, once it gets cold. I don't know if your deserts are that way, but here, like,
Oh yeah.
yeah, once it gets dark, it gets cold in the desert. Um, but it's this is pretty typical. Where I was going with that is NXT has a lot of black stars. Oh, they're on the minor leagues, yeah, but they're building them up. They're building them up, and then you look on the main shows. You've got Street Profits. They revamped them because they weren't going anywhere. The New Day, the heel New Day, are actually entertaining to watch again. Um, they're building them up. You just can't push people out there because they are black. You did. Oh, look, he's black. Push him. And there are actually idiots out there. Remember the 2003 WrestleMania match between Booker T and Triple H? Remember that
Yeah.
whole remember the build up where Triple H is saying stuff like his kind and all that? Like people are
Oh,
actually linking this to that. It's like you guys are the biggest marks in the world. If you're thinking an angle where Triple H was making, you know, thinly veiled racist comments to what he's
the
doing in real life in 2025, you're a fucking nut job. That's all I have to say.
the Connecticut Blue Blood went off script.
Yeah. Biggles Mets in the house. 500 plus subs. Biggles Mets in the house. The only thing I know about wrestling is Stacy Keebler was. Oh yeah, she is super hot. We got to have an expanded bootyverse for wrestling for sure. But yeah, thanks for being here, Biggles,
Top
and
two.
keep on streaming and keep on keeping on, man. Thanks for being an original member. Coming up, Blake, on 4 years of monetization since 2021. So thanks to people's like Biggles and you. Appreciate it.
Me more than
Uh
Biggles.
yeah. Let's see. They stole the 2 night thing from New Japan. Didn't know that. I like New Japan though. I've seen a lot of the 90s matches. I only know of her because of How I Met Your Mother. Didn't know she was on that. I watched the entire series, totally forgot. They do have the 2 day thing for cards. SummerSlam. Yeah, you're right. SummerSlam next year, though, Chris. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think it's this year. I think next year they're going to do like the big super card. I don't
Yeah.
mind it. I don't mind it. I get why you don't, but I don't mind it.
Yeah, but I mean that comment in particular, like it makes sense if you're going to push as much talent as possible. But how much talent are they going to push? They're just going to bring back The Rock again. They're going to bring back Cena again. Like you're just pushing people who are probably on their last leg, really, if you're being honest. And I don't see the new people really stepping up like they did back in the Attitude Era. and even the ruthless aggression era when like Cena and Orton, all them guys started, like they were standing up for a certain degree, mid carders becoming headliners, but I don't see. We'll probably get into it when we do like the previews and stuff later, but I don't see a lot of these guys really making that step.
Right.
I'm completely. Then I'll preface this: I'm a completely an outsider now. I've only been like I watch like what they've put out to promote this, which is on them, and the main build up of the Rhodes John Cena angle. That's
Yeah.
really because, to be honest, I don't think there's much else.
Yeah, we'll get into it. We'll get into it.
Yeah.
But I wanted to throw this out there. Like, I've been following this account, and I don't agree 100% of the time with this guy, but WWE Junkie, he had this. I'm not going to throw it on the screen, but I put his account. Follow this guy if you like wrestling. Again, you're not going to agree with him 100% of the time, but he really triggers almost everyone. He says, "Real wrestling fans, this is the Super Bowl of this industry. Don't let anybody take away the fun of what this weekend represents. If morons want to complain about political allegiances, friendships with Vince, fuck them. Fuck the hypocrites. Enjoy the shows and ignore those shits." Gosh, I'd love to get this guy on the show sometime. I don't think he does streaming, but his account, again, 100% of the time I don't agree, but a lot of times I really love how he triggers people. So love WWE Junkie. Make sure you follow the account, and his avatar is priceless. It's like Chris Jericho with his face blown up to look like really fat, kind of like Nutty Professor. So it's good stuff.
That's not what he was saying, but like, if you are a wrestling fan and that sort of stuff is what's affecting you, like specifically like people's like talking about their relationship with Vince, like newsflash, nearly every single human being in WWE had a relationship with Vince at some stage. Like, he was pretty much unavoidable in the entire industry for what, 50 years?
40 at least.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
at
that's
least
just
40.
completely ridiculous. Like, you can go on like political allegiances and stuff, that's fine, but like it'd be like saying, "Oh, I'm boycotting all aspects of Harry Potter that J.K. Rowling was involved with." Okay, well, what are you gonna read?
Yeah, no shit. We talked about J.K. Rowling at work today. So I told some people about all the castings, and they're like, "Really? That's happening?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And I go, "You know why, right?" And they're like, "No." And I'm like, "Because of the whole Oscars thing."
Oh, they needed seven. They needed seven.
Mm-hmm.
They needed seven black wrestlers for Harry Potter.
Well, wrestlers, but on Harry Potter, they could have had like janitors and stuff, like at the wizard school. Like, "Hey, look, we have a black, and they're like a janitor or something." You don't
Well, the
have to
cat,
make them main
like
characters.
like Filch's cat is black.
Yeah. Oh
I mean,
my
it's all
gosh.
there.
Here's the thing: if Blabs doesn't know how to turn this into 100,000 subs, I have like no faith in her. So we'll see what
Oh,
happens.
it'll ramp up. The Harry
Yeah.
Potter, like, you think like the once it gets going, it'll be like the new Star Wars.
And I fucking hate Harry Potter. Like, I took my son to see the first one. Actually, no, we rented or whatever the first one, and he's like, "Yeah, I didn't like it that much. Let's watch Lord of the Rings again." It's essentially the same story, but it's the hero's journey, but just from a different perspective. And we just didn't like Harry Potter, and I never read the books, and we never went back to it. So I've
Speaking
read
of
some of
Trump,
her writing style, and I just don't think she has a good writing style either. So
yeah. Well, I mean, speaking of Trump and the first Harry Potter movies, that the director Chris Columbus, who did the Home Alone 1 and 2 as well, he came out and said he wishes he could erase Trump from he wants to erase Trump's cameo from the Home Alone 2.
I heard about that. I
Yeah.
heard about that. I didn't like Home Alone 2 anyway. It was just weird and repetitive. So whatever. Do whatever you want. But the point is, you got this out there where these idiots are like, "Oh, there are not enough blacks. There are not enough blacks with titles." Yeah, so in a fake fighting sport, not enough blacks are winning the fake fighting belts. Like, okay, that's like saying, "Hey, I'm watching Star Trek Deep Space Nine, and Captain Cisco just isn't winning enough battles against the founders, and they
He
have
should
that
be
really
relieved of duty.
pasty skin." What?
He should be relieved of duty. He's just not winning enough space battles. Why isn't Command stepping in and just getting someone else for the job?
Oh my gosh. It's stupid. It is. And
Yeah,
Ricochet was an idiot for leaving. And the only reason, I don't care what anyone says, the only reason his wife left is because he left. And I'd put her like in the top 15 ring announcers. I wouldn't put her in the top 5. I don't know, maybe the top 10. But the only reason she left is because he did. She states the reason is, I wanted to be a manager and all this stuff, but they wanted me to be a ring announcer. Well, yeah, because you were good at ring announcing. And now, what's her name? Alicia, whatever her name is, she's trying to be her, and she's not her. So it's whatever. Like he made a big mistake. Look in the picture there. You know which one he is, right? The upper left. It's like his look there is like, I'm trying to convince myself that I made the right decision going to AEW and Tiny Khan. Like, you didn't, dude. You should have stayed. You should have stayed.
Well, I mean, there is really only one ticket in town. Has been that way since WCW left. Like, there's been the spots that come up, but they don't last long compared to
I watched
Juggernaut.
I watched the first 4 or 5 months of AEW after because they were around for a couple of years before they went like big, on TV, and it was pretty decent. Like seeing Jericho win the belt and then forming his stable and all that, and they had a good storyline going. And then like right around COVID, they just shit the bed. And then the stupid fucking fans, I hated those fans, like booing Cody for no good reason, and because they knew he was involved with the leadership, and it was just horrible. I'm like, I'm done with this. And then they brought Tyson in. Did you know that? Yeah, they brought Tyson in June, I think, of 2020, I think. And it was just retarded. And I'm like, no, I'm totally done. Never watched it again. And then they, have at least 2 or 3 like trans wrestlers. Like, okay, yeah, let's go ahead and push that angle, guys.
Is there a trans belt?
Yeah.
It's got a little hole in
What would it look like?
It's got a little hole.
What would it look like?
Yeah,
that's the challenge. That's the challenge for anyone in the chat. Like, come up with what the AEW transgender title would look like by Sunday night when we do a recap show.
Yeah, it's a spinner belt. It's like you can just spin it around. It's got like balls, a dick.
Yeah, what pronoun are you?
Yeah,
I'm a they them. Yeah. Oh man. Yeah, it's not good. And the people who defend it, it's like they're eating a shit sandwich. They're like, hey, at least it's a sandwich, right? A woman didn't make it, like a trans woman made it. So, it's a sandwich.
It was only on my radar, I think, when Jericho got there. He had like his sort of run, and then there was the Punk CM Punk arrival, but I only watched a day or a week or two of what was happening, and then I was just like, I'm not really interested.
Well, that story, right? How I had a video on CM Punk's arrival, and admittedly, I probably showed too much without commentary. I did have commentary, and the motherfuckers struck my channel. So I'm emailing back and forth with their apparent attorney. And I'm like, look, you yeah, I went too far. I took it down. I took the whole video down. Can you remove the strike? And the dickhead replied with like, no, you did this and that, so we're keeping it up. And it was one of the strikes that expire after time and all that. But I was pissed. It's like, yeah, I made a mistake, but what's it going to hurt? I took it down. You think I'm going to do it again if you were to like take the strike down? No, I'm not going to do it again. So that's another reason they can kiss my ass. But
What is AEW? All Elite Wrestling.
yeah.
Apparently.
Mhm. Yeah. Did you hear about Mickey James?
In what aspect?
Let me show you here. So they have a new show. Dude, I don't know if you see it down there, but up here, they have so much WWE content in general.
Oh yeah.
It's not just Raw and SmackDown. They've got every damn network has something. A&E has like legend stuff, maybe some other show. You got this Stephanie show where she's doing stuff like riding, dune buggies with Stone Cold. You've got this
Yeah, and there was
LFG
the
show.
yeah, and they're looking for the old artifacts, like Undertaker's looking for, like
Oh yeah,
wrestling memorabilia that he had in his career and stuff like that. Yeah, I've seen a lot, and there's actually a funny one I watched. It was on cable here, and I was just watching it on my iPad. It was like random legends all went into a house together to like live, and they did like sort of weird
I watched a couple
activities and
episodes
stuff.
of that. Yeah.
Yeah, it was
Mhm.
Roddy Piper. I think Mean Gene was there. Jim
Hacksaw.
Duggan. Yeah, Hacksaw was there. Um, it was pretty
I
funny.
saw it. I saw a couple
Yeah,
episodes.
I think Bobby was there. Bobby Heenan was in it as well.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
maybe in season 2, but there's so much content. Like now, there's this LFG show that's like even below AEW. It's like it's kind of like Tough Enough, sort of, and they've tried a few
yeah.
new
I've seen
Tough
some
Enough
clips of
things.
that with Gunther.
Oh yeah, I haven't seen those clips yet. I've heard about them, but because I'm sure it was good, but he's kind of like in character, maybe not, because I don't know where the character
Oh
ends.
yeah, yeah.
But
It was
this
sort of like Triple H. Triple H's Tough Enough speech, if you remember that.
Yeah, I rewatched the first 2 seasons, which in my mind are really the only 2 seasons. Everything
Oh
after
yeah,
that was
yeah,
not really tough enough. But she's on there, Mickey James, and she's married to Nick Aldis, who's currently on screen as the general manager of SmackDown. And by the way, during COVID, like right before COVID, NWA, that's owned by Billy Corgan. You know who that is, right?
yeah. The lead singer of Smashing Pumpkins.
Yeah, so he bought the rights to NWA and then he made a promotion and it was on YouTube. The first season of that is some of the funnest wrestling ever. Just random like people, some of them from the past, some new people and stuff. But yeah, Nick Aldis was the champion. He had the 10 pounds of gold belt and all that stuff. He's a British guy. So he's married to Mickey James. And he's not a wrestler currently. There was a rumor that he was going to replace Kevin Owens, and they'd have a match at WrestleMania because Randy gave him an RKO after Kevin said he can't wrestle. And I don't know if that's an angle yet. I still don't know. Maybe I'm a mark, but who knows? Like if we get to the show and then like Kevin Owens' music hits. But anyway, here's a post from her. And this, not from her, this is like someone quoting what she said on the show. It's very frustrating when women go out there and wrestle and all you see is their ass. And I think there were some stripper remarks and stuff. Well, like, she was in TNA for a while and stuff, doing like, stuff like this here. I mean, you're telling me that's not like stripper stuff? Like, come on,
Didn't
Mickey.
she, didn't she have that like really weird angle with Trish Stratus as well in WWE?
Yeah, the lesbian angle. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm. Yep. It's a pretty hot angle, but
yeah.
but
That should have been
she's
a shoot.
but no, she's even to this day extremely hot. Like a girl next door, yet still like somehow like I don't know, she's like the girl next door, but there's something about her. Yeah. She's fantastic. So not her mind though for seeing stupid bullshit like that. And look at this. Like, does that look like stripper stuff or that or there it is again. Like, come on, Mickey. Like, shut up. It's been that way for 20 years. I remember I went to a Hooters. By the way, they had to file for bankruptcy. I don't know if they're going to disappear or not, but you know what Hooters is, right?
Oh yeah.
Do you have it there?
Um, we we did. I don't know if we still do.
Okay. Well, anyway, I used to go there to watch pay-per-views because you could have a meal, 20, $25, and you're not paying the 40, $50 for the pay-per-view.
Yeah, I
Well,
went for the pay-per-views as well.
did you really? And
No.
UFC too. So I'm sitting at the bar because it was the only place to sit, and I went alone. And these rich guys, these businessmen, happened to be there, and they were like, "Oh yeah, when when I was in college, I used to watch Dusty Rhodes on whatever channel and blah blah blah." And these were Southern guys, so they knew about wrestling, and they're like, "What is it?" I go, "This is like WrestleMania, man. This is like WrestleMania night." And I think this was 2005 or six. So I'm explaining every match to them, and they're having drink after drink after drink. And eventually, one of their wives calls because I think they were traveling to the area. They weren't like from here; they were from a couple 100 miles away. He's like, "Honey, come on down to Hooters. It's white trash night." And I'm explaining all this shit to them, and they're like, "Whoa, that's cool." And then they had a lingerie match. Remember those? And
Oh yeah.
yeah, they're like, "This is the greatest idea ever." And I'm like, "Right? Well, where the hell have like lingerie matches gone?" I'll just come out and say it right now,
Well,
guys.
they've
I
gone
made a
away. They've
post
gone
on this.
everything else fucking woke.
Exactly. I made a post on this on the Ring into Focus X account a couple of months ago, and I said, I'm going to come out and say it, regardless of the promotion. I hate women's wrestling. The women's wrestling I liked was from the 70s, 80s, where they're wearing like a satin bathing suit because there was no women's wrestling gear, and they're literally beating the shit out of each other and pulling hair. Those rough looking chicks. That's the wrestling I like. The women's wrestling, not all this. Oh, I'm throwing like a forearm and I'm barely hitting you. It's horrible. Oh, watch Yoshi. The Japanese women. They're it's not any better. Now I'm not going to say every single one is awful. Like I think Alundra Blaze was good. The match she had with the big girl, Bertha Faye, I saw it about a month and a half ago. I'm like, whoa, this match is way better than it had any right to be. Um, but in general, in 2025, I hate all this women's wrestling. Oh, we got to put it on par with the men's. It's not good. It doesn't look good. The ring is too big for them because WWE's ring has traditionally always been bigger than every other promotions. It's just not good. I'm not saying don't have women in wrestling, but have them be managers and characters and all that, not as actual wrestlers, because I just can't stand it. Have like two or three, four, five, whatever. Have like a big, strong one like Bianca Belair, like Rhea Ripley, and a few others, but not this huge roster, and they
Yeah,
all suck.
entire like multi divisions. It's a bit, even like the cruiserweight division got too big for a while. Like you've got to condense it down, otherwise you have just too much. Like, and it takes away from what is meant to be the pinnacle. I think, yeah, yeah, but go back to bra and panties matches, please.
Yeah, And Mr. T corrected me. It was against Bull.
Yeah,
And
Bull
again,
Nakano, yeah.
she and Alundra are two of the only legitimate good women's wrestlers I actually like. That was the match, and it was a fantastic match. And then Bertha Faye attacked her after the match. See, he knows the Lord of the Core. Keely Chow's in the house. Come back to Huntsville. Yeah, they're I think they're like the bankruptcy they filed for means they're going away, which is pretty sad. There's a bunch of knockoffs now. We have like Twin Peaks and other places like that around the country. Lawler's wife. Yeah, I actually had that on tape. The Armageddon where they did that. That's the one
Yeah.
where isn't that the one where
The cat.
Vince and it was Vince against Triple H, and then Stephanie turned on him. I think that was the one, and it should have been Test versus Triple H, but it was Vince. I had that on tape because I recorded it because I bought the pay-per-view. Yeah, I think you're right, Biggles, and there's a bunch of local places too. And by the way, what a great day today. On the way to work, all green lights. The way home wasn't so good. All green lights. And in the Bikini Coffee place, I got to look over because they keep the curtain open and it's dark when I'm on the way to work. And you could see right in there, it's a trailer. And just, you could see the booty in the G string. So fantastic drive to work this morning. So you should watch Awesome Kong versus Gail Kim. I saw it. I think I have that pay-per-view.
Gail Kim was great.
Yeah. Yep.
The stories behind that as well are hilarious. Them trying to convince Vince McMahon that people found Asian women attractive. Vince was completely... He just couldn't get his head around that concept at all, which I find hilarious.
It is hilarious. You should watch Awesome. Yeah, we read that. All right. What else have I got here? Oh, let's talk a little bit about the documentary before we get into the predictions. So you didn't get to see it, but you saw some other stuff. Send me those links. I'd like to see it, but I enjoyed the Becoming a Spectacle about WrestleMania 9 documentary. It takes about 20 minutes to actually get to WrestleMania 9, which is not a bad thing because they go into stuff I'd never heard before, like WWE, WWF promoting that boxing event, Sugar Ray Leonard against some white guy. They were in charge. I was like, wow, I never knew that. How? I know a lot, right? And I didn't know that. So that was interesting to learn.
Well, that event flopped, but it sort of opened the door for like Vince to get in touch with like those people in Vegas.
Right. So they had it's just good 80s, 90s nostalgia. I really enjoyed a lot of the footage. It's like, whoa, look, it's Yokozuna in garb, speaking perfect English, and stuff like that. And then Undertaker saying, what are you doing with the camera? Because he's like protective of the character. And it was really good to see. So if you haven't seen it, it's like almost 2 hours long. Go out there and find it. Find a source for it. Becoming a Spectacle, WrestleMania 9 found footage. And I'm sure they have a lot more found footage out there. So maybe every year, if they revisit a city, they can find some footage. And then you get to meet the video guy. And then that one guy that's been a super fan for like 40 years, he's interviewed several times. It was good. Like, I'd recommend it if you can find it. And to your point, yeah, they're not going to tell the whole story, but guess what? They actually showed Vince, and you got to give them kudos for that. They didn't erase him from history. They even showed clips from him, like back then, doing stuff. Because, like it or not, whatever he did or didn't do, allegedly, like it happened, right? He was there. He's not just part of the history, he's central to the history of it. So you have to show it.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be like, they try and do it now, but it'd be like telling the story of the history of Star Wars without mentioning George Lucas once. It's so intertwined with WWE, Vince, and WWF, which still should be called. That it's just ridiculous. All these people that come out and say these things, like, oh, you have, if you do not disavow Vince, or you don't like, you don't uh take away any relationship, or people that had any relationship with Vince. It's like the entire industry has a
Yeah.
relationship with Vince.
Yeah, no shit. He gave me a hug one time. Oh no.
Yeah, yeah. That's it. But that's like as far as people will go now. Like you shook his hand once 10 years ago. You're guilty by association.
Yeah. Gosh, we could have a whole stream on his antics after he
Yeah,
sold all his
yeah.
stock.
Yeah, that when that the first part of that lawsuit sort of got settled or whatever, but when it's all said and done, we'll see what happens.
The greatest storyline. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Like that storyline, because I don't care what anyone says. Like, I'm not a huge fan, like either mark wise or obviously not in real life, but because I think Austin's kind of a piece of shit like Flair. But that storyline is the number one storyline, and Austin exceeds Hogan as like the top star. Sold more merch, sold more tickets. I don't care what anyone says. Like those Raws, if you add them all up, what did Hogan sell? Like 93,000 at Pontiac Silverdome. Okay, great. But every fucking week on Raw, they were selling that shit out for 2 years straight. Austin was mad over. So I think he exceeds Hogan as greatest of all time. Wrestling Mount Rushmore, another thing. I could have a whole stream on it. It's not a
Oh
secret.
yeah.
It's not a secret. It's Hogan for me. It's Flair for me. It's Austin for me. And the fourth one surprised people, but it's Dusty Rhodes. It's not The Rock. Dusty Rhodes is undervalued as like an asset in the 80s. He just is. Like he was more over and important than you guys think. So it's those four guys. It's not The Rock. The Rock, how long was he around really as a top star? 2 years? Let's say 97 to on and off after 99 for a couple more years. And then he was like not even part time. He was like whenever he wanted to show up. I just don't.
SummerSlam maybe.
Yeah, he's not a Mount Rushmore guy. It's those four guys in my mind. Oh, we could add this guy. Yeah, you could add a bunch of people, but those four, I think, made the most impact. Like people wanted to see Dusty beat Flair for the title. Like that's what they wanted to see. So,
Mm.
period, point blank.
Yeah, that's a pretty good one. Like I'm pretty close with you. Like my bias, I'd probably throw Bret Hart in there, over Flair or over Dusty, or either one. I'd have Andre the Giant on my Mount Rushmore.
Wow.
Like he is the mountain.
We could have all kinds of streams, like who should have won the belt and just all kinds of stuff. But
Oh, yeah.
Hogan and Austin absolutely have to. Yeah, oh, yeah, absolutely. Like Hogan or not, like he's got to be on there. And Flair, I don't care what anyone says. Like Flair carried the most of the South and then the entire country after like they started going all over the place in '85.
Yeah, but
Like
it's different. Like, yeah. Sorry, go on.
no, I'm just gonna say like going town to town.
Yeah.
They were in Chicago for some Starcades. They were down in Texas. They were on the West Coast. Like when he came to town, like people showed up. So
Yeah.
he was
But
like
that's
the
the thing.
working man.
Yeah, but that's the thing as well. Like, pro wrestling Mount Rushmore, absolutely. But like WWF, WWE Mount Rushmore, I don't put Flair on there.
No, he was there for a cup of coffee, and then the 2000s run he was second fiddle to Triple H. So
Yeah.
no, I'm not saying it wasn't a good run because Evolution was good. His Undertaker angle was good, but his
That was
Shawn Michaels
18,
match, but
wasn't it? WrestleMania 18.
18 was
Against
the one.
Undertaker.
Yeah, that's the one where Hogan and Rock and Austin and Hall
Yeah.
and who took on Nash? Was he already injured at that point?
Well, they sort of did it as a 2-on-1. Nash sort of came out and just ganged up on Austin with Hall.
Okay. Yeah.
I think that's what it really turned into.
Yeah. Yeah, Macho
And then they
Man
all came out at
was
the
great.
end for like Hogan.
And by the way, like I have a shirt of this that I wear sometimes. And shout out to Brad from Four Corners Podcast for sending me a bunch of ICW stuff, the Outlaw promotion in the 80s. Uh Lanny and Macho Man's dad, Angelo, he created his own promotion, was like, fuck the NWA. I'm not going to join. I'm just doing my own thing. He got television. And yeah, he pushed his boys, but they were actually good. Like Lanny was their version of the heavyweight champion, and they just had great matches. It was like an early, I guess, kind of like Smart promotion. They had good technical matches. They had hardcore type stuff like ECW, hitting people with chairs. They had these crazy promos with Randy, of course, and ICW, International Championship Wrestling. There are several ICWs, but the one from the late 70s, early 80s, that's like the real one. It's the Outlaw promotion. It's fantastic stuff. Yeah, he hated the Jarretts. He did. But I got a T-shirt of that promotion. It's like two stick figures, like in a tie up, and then it's got like the logo. Pretty generic, but it's iconic. Wait, the rap group and no, but Run DMC was at WrestleMania. What was that? WrestleMania 5, 6, 7, one of those, and they did the WrestleMania rap. Mr. T probably knows because he knows
Yeah.
the Lord of the Core. So
And they did they did a remix of the DX theme song.
oh yeah, and that's the best one.
Oh yeah.
Who's the king of rock? What?
The King of Rock, who?
All right. This website's bright. Let's go ahead and let me zoom into this here. Let's read this really first. Gabriel Knight, super member for 16 months. Seems like it's been longer. You all ever play any of the wrestling games? Holy shit. There's a whole nother stream right there. WWF No Mercy is the best. Do I have it over here in my stack somewhere? Also enjoyed WrestleFest at the arcade. Yeah, like No Mercy. I was on the forums on AOL, and it evolved way past just the game. It became like not just a wrestling forum, but just, kind of like this group of guys that talked about different stuff. And I think somebody hunted everyone down about 4 years ago. And we were talking on some random forum like, hey, all the No Mercy guys come in here. But yeah, fantastic game. I had versions of everyone, like my Scott Hall. Remember when you could cycle through different outfits? I'd have like Scott Hall, Razor Ramon, the Diamond Stud, and then I would have all the outfits: Kevin Nash, Oz, the Master Blaster, Vinny Vegas, and they all looked exactly like that. But then the storyline mode and all that stuff. No Mercy and WrestleMania 2000, fantastic games.
I think Sold Out was on version of Sold Out, but yeah, the WCW NWO World Tour was good. But going like back further, I used to love the Royal Rumble game on Super Nintendo. That was great.
Yeah,
That
I
had
remember
such a
that
good
one.
roster as well.
Yeah, and when I went
then-
to that retro arcade, Gabriel, I played. It wasn't WrestleFest, but it was Super whatever that was around that same time, and it was fun as hell. Like I played that one probably for the longest at the retro arcade. What were you gonna say?
Oh no, yeah. I think there was a WrestleMania version as well. Like back on the Super Nintendo, there was a couple, like just different eras, and I never forget the fuck what there was Saturday Night Slam Masters, I think it was called. It wasn't anything to do with like WWF or WCW or anything. It was a Japanese made, I think. I think it might have even been Capcom, but I'm not sure about that style game, and that had such a fucking cool roster. It was like it was just a fighting game, but it was sort of more wrestling themed, but it was really fun.
Well, it's funny you should bring up games because I still have this little clip here that I used to use for a segment on the wrestling streams, and you'll recognize this game.
Yeah,
That was
the even older one.
worse. Like the first WWF game for NES was horrible.
Yeah,
The only good thing
they
that
were a lot. Yeah, they were a
was the
lot better on
music.
Super Nintendo by that time.
hmm
But you can't go past, like, I don't know if you got to this era, but the Raw game on PlayStation was good. But then when the SmackDown game started coming out on PlayStation 2, like Here Comes the Pain. Then there was like
Yeah,
Raw vs SmackDown. They did all
I
those
had the
ones,
first
but
SmackDown on
yeah,
PlayStation.
they were some interesting games. You could do like the run-ins, you could do the backstage stuff. They got some of them got a bit too intricate, where they tried to make it too realistic, and it just became like a mess of a game. But some of them where they were a bit more arcadey, they were pretty good.
Did anyone come up with the game that I was playing? I put a picture out there on X around the time of my birthday when my family took me there, but it I don't think it was Superstars. It was, I don't remember, but I love the font like on the arcade um case. It was badass.
Oh yeah,
And I
the
think I
arcade had
played
good ones.
as Earthquake. Huh?
Yeah, the arcade had some great, like, because I think they had the WrestleMania arcade version as well as the console version, and I
Yeah.
think they may have even had a they might have had a Royal Rumble one, but I'm not sure about that. But the roster was a lot
They
different.
did. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then simply pro wrestling for NES. Like I would play as Starman and I'd have the NES Advantage controller and I would just do that flipping drop kick over and over and over and then pin people. But I could never beat the Great Puma or whatever the name of the final boss was. I could never win that match. So
Yeah. Yeah,
I'm a
again, Chris
horrible
remembers
gamer.
it. Saturday Night Slam Masters. That was such a cool game.
Then they had a tag team wrestling that was generic. Then WCW had a game that had the Road Warriors on the cover of the box. There were several wrestling games. Dude, wrestling was so hot like in 87, 88. I remember going to my grandfather's house and he had like Sacramento cable that was different than Stockton cable. And they would get like federations I didn't get. It's like, holy shit, look at this. We're watching, me and my cousins, all these different federations. Like we were getting Mid-South. It was under Power Pro Wrestling was the name of their show. Like, oh, I never seen this before. We were watching every possible wrestling show in 88 because it was so hot because of pretty much WrestleMania 3 got everyone into wrestling. So, and then the Rock and Wrestling Connection in 85 for sure.
I mean, that
Yeah,
that
it
was
was
just like a
fun.
couple years before my time, but the after effects were still there.
Yeah.
Like I remember the reruns of that cartoon. They were just fucking bizarre.
Oh, the cartoon. Yeah, I remember the cartoon. It was cheesy as hell. So you guys probably can't see this super good, but this is from Wikipedia. It's
Do we
the
have
first
to
night.
enlarge the fine print?
Yeah. And I don't know if this is the order of matches or not, but if so, I'd be surprised. I
Apparently
want
it
to talk
is.
about this. How do you feel about the main event not being a title match? The
Well,
one
yeah, I was going to
Roman
ask
Reigns,
about that.
CM Punk, and Seth Rollins. How do you feel about that?
Well, I mean, I don't care because I don't follow any of this anymore, but it's very strange to me that you know, Rock Austin, was that the main event?
Of which one?
Oh, sorry, not Rock Austin. Rock Hogan at 18. That wasn't the main
No,
event, was it? It
no.
was Triple H, Jericho.
Jericho and Triple H went on last. Yeah.
Yeah, because that's the title match.
Right.
Like Hogan and Rock was the biggest spectacle match of the night, but the title match is the main event. Well, that's like how it should be. But because I got two questions about this. I thought this was strange that CM Punk, Reigns, and Seth Rollins were going on as the main event, and they made like a big deal out of it. Like, CM Punk, this is you're gonna main event WrestleMania. This is your dream come true, sort of thing. But he's not really main eventing it because it's night one, and B, he it's not really shouldn't be the main event because it's not for the title. But what's the hierarchy now? So the WWE Undisputed, that's the number one, is it?
No, there's no hierarchy. I think
So it's not any higher than the World Heavyweight Championship.
I don't think so. No,
Okay.
I don't think I've never heard them play it up that way.
Okay, so it's just the fact that it's the people like involved in the match as opposed to the belt itself.
Yeah, you have to look who's held it. Oh, look, Roman has held the undisputed one. He consolidated it against Brock and whatever. I think it's who's been involved more than officially. Oh yeah, world heavyweight is one level below the undisputed. I don't think that's ever been said. So
Okay. No, yeah, because I really don't understand this at all. Why your World Heavyweight Championship match wouldn't be your main event, like let alone like even though it's just night one, why you wouldn't end the card with the Heavyweight Championship match?
right.
Probably tells you Jey Uso's probably not winning. Because like that's what you'd end the night on, wouldn't it be like the big celebration of the guy finally
Well,
getting it?
you're right, and let's get into that. But let me give my thoughts on this. It took a minute for it to click whenever they did that cheesy thing where like you're gonna main event WrestleMania, Paul Heyman. I'm like, wait a minute. There's no belt involved here. I'm like, wait, what? And I'm looking online and everyone's saying the same thing. Like, oh, they just decided that this is the main event. Like, oh, okay, because oh, look, it's the God Roman Reigns and it's CM Punk and it's Seth Rollins. So this is the main event. Like, I don't like it. What does it say about your belt or whom you decided to put your belt on, right?
Yeah.
That you don't have it as a main event. That's all I'm saying. And I'm not saying anything against Gunther because I think he deserves it. I think he's entertaining. I think his matches are good. But
Would you
I
say
think
he's
this
like
is the wrong
the
decision.
new Wade Barrett
Yeah.
in a way?
Yeah. So if this is really going to start it out, the way they built the story up, where he bloodies Jimmy and right in front of him and all that, it's like, okay, how did they not have him come back and win, right? The way they're building it up. But maybe that's what they want us to think. I just don't see how they can legitimately
mind games.
Yeah, and I don't see the cerebral assassin. I don't see how they can have Jay win this and it not just be a complete crock. At the same time, I don't see how they can have him not win it and he ever comes back from it. Just like with the IC title, I think Gunther could survive it like he did when Sammy won. But I just because he's going to be a great character regardless. I just don't know what they're going to do here. This is the match that has me the most befuddled. I'm just like, what are they going to do here? Because anything they do at this point, it's gonna not make a lot of sense. He wins. Well, it's not a main event, and okay, are they just doing it to like try and legitimize him? If he doesn't win, like how does he ever come back from that? He beat the hell out of your brother. He bloodied him, and then you're not going to come back and get revenge. It makes him look weak. So I do not know what they're going to do here. I just don't know. It's in a bad spot.
Yeah, like if it was the main event, you'd think definitely like he's winning. But because they've put it one,
Yeah,
like
exactly.
is there gonna be like some fuckery or something like a DQ or some sort of botched finish or not a botched finish but like a fucked finish sort of thing. But yeah, it's one of those ones where you kind of like it's to me the whole thing, like when I was looking at the hype packages, a lot of it seemed disjointed, like a lot of these
Yeah.
matchups.
But gun to head, I I have to say Jay, because I think they're going to want people to do the dance and all that stuff. I just, even though it's not the last match, that's going to be what I predict.
Yeah.
I think
Well,
they're going to win.
like he wins the opening match of the night sort of thing, and it's like a celebration that carries on through the night kind of thing. And
Mhm.
they keep cutting back to him in his dressing room or whatever, they interviews and stuff, and it's with the family or whatever. But yeah, I could see if Gunther just wins outright, yeah, where do you go next?
Yeah.
For both of them,
I don't
like, is
know.
Gunther gonna take on both brothers next at the same time?
Yeah. You could argue Jay winning in the opening match gets the crowd
Yeah.
hot. Yeah. Yeah,
That's what you
I
kind of
know I don't mean this in a negative way, Chris, but that's the type of stuff that Meltzer would point out 25 years ago when he didn't have almost 100% shit takes. But yeah, that's a good point. So I'm going with Jay. I think they'll have him win. What are you saying?
Well, I think you have to. I think
Yeah.
like watching the build up and everything, it's kind of like it's for a different belt, but it's a bit like Cena beating Big Show
Right.
for the US title. It's like
Right.
it's the natural stepping stone,
Yep.
or the natural progression, because it's, you don't want to call the world heavyweight title stepping stone.
Right. This next match, I don't know how much you know about it, but I think it's pretty recent buildup. I don't remember it being on television in February, but
No, I don't even think they had a hype package for it when I looked.
no, it's the Viking Raiders, now known as the War Raiders, against the New Day. If I had to pick who I'd want to win, I'd say the New Day, just to give them the belts, and it's still not good enough. So they're doing this angle where they turned heel, and now they're just like whining. They're almost like being the victimized SJW blacks, like from social media type, like, oh no, we're held back and we're this and that, and all but calling Big E like an Uncle Tom and stuff whenever they kind of kicked him out. And by the way, I was watching Mid Atlantic last night in the hot tub from '86, and literally uh Nighthawk was calling Pez Watley an Uncle Tom. Good grief, I love that like '80s stuff. They didn't give a shit back then. But I
No,
see, I want them to win, but I don't think they're going to. I think the angle will be the War Raiders win, and then they get to play victim more for some reason. I don't see them winning, even like cheating. So that's my pick. I think the War Raiders will retain.
you're not going to pick the black people.
I'm not going to pick the black people.
AEW's, they're going to get
I'm
very upset.
racist.
Air's gonna retweet this. He's gonna be like, Gorilla Pontoon did not choose the black team to win.
Yeah, Mike the Carmelo
Yeah,
Anthony
that
defenders.
that piece of shit.
Yeah. So you don't know much about it. Like, just pick something.
I honestly, the only name there I recognize is Kofi Kingston, and I thought he'd retired 5, 10 years ago. But is
No,
he
he
still
won the
Jamaican?
title, what, 4 or 5 years ago? Maybe it was
Yeah, I know.
longer.
Yeah, but is he
Gosh,
still
time
Jamaican?
flies, man. He's not Jamaican.
No, but remember he always had that accent, like, and it would just like sometimes just vanish in like a promo.
Yeah, but first they booked him from there, and then he's from, somewhere in West Africa. It's like, guys, make up, like, settle on something. Maybe they should have made him from deepest, darkest Africa,
From parts
right?
unknown.
Yeah, because you know who is from deepest,
Darkest
darkest Africa,
Africa.
right?
Was that Kamala?
Akeem, the African Dream. So
Oh, okay. I thought no, Kamala, Ugandan, wasn't it? Uganda.
yeah, the Ugandan giant.
Yeah.
He's not going into the Hall of Fame, I don't think, unless they did one of those legacy ones. But he's getting a Legends contract. So, and there was more than one Kamala. I think he allowed like some other guy to do it like later on. So anyway, yeah, don't really give a shit about that match. Rey Mysterio versus El Grande Americano. So
I,
that angle.
I just remember
So
that
basically,
I saw it. Sorry, I
Chad
just wanted to go
Gable.
back. I just wanted to go back. I saw it recently. There was an Arsenio Hall interview, and Akeem
Yeah.
was on it. And Arsenio goes, "He's from Africa."
We got to get that clip for the channel. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll try and find it. It was
Whenever he
fucking
had
hilarious.
wrestlers on there, dude, when he had Randy Savage on there, it was like classic
Yeah. Oh,
because he
fuck.
was actually hilarious. Like Macho Man was hilarious in that. So no, but this is Chad Gable doing the whole Midnight Rider type gimmick, where he's got a mask on and it's not
American
really
Patriot.
him, but it is. Yeah. And he's from the Gulf of Mexico, so Gulf of America. I mean.
Gulf of America.
Yeah. This one right here, I don't see how you don't have Ray retain, and then eventually at a future pay-per-view, like real Chad goes over because Ray's got to start putting people over. But I see Ray
How old
going
is
over
Rey
here.
Mysterio now?
If you figure he was 14 when he started in '93, and that was what, 30 years ago? He's got to be in his 40s at this point. Anyone know? Let's look it up.
40s? He's got to
Yeah.
be older than that.
Rey Mysterio Jr.
Yeah, senior's a bit older.
He's 50, so he's 1 year older than I am. So, yeah, he started a little bit earlier, and I thought at 14 or 15, and I think like the late 80s or early
He's just
90s,
been around
whatever.
forever. Like that,
Yeah.
even like that WCW run he had was like he'd felt like he'd been an industry veteran all then. But far out.
You're actually right, King Chris, because when I go to Starbucks, that's what I get. I get a Grande Americano, and all it is an espresso with like hot water added to it, black, no cream or sugar, because I'm not a homosexual. I drink my coffee black. So yeah, it's got to be
Take
Ray.
it just like your men.
Yeah. Do you go with Ray there?
How can you not go with Rey Mysterio? Like that dude is, he's like the Energizer Bunny that just he's just never stopped banging those drums.
Yeah. I'm going to come out and say it. This next match, this is like the Sunday night heat match in 2001. It's Jade Cargill and Naomi. No one gives a shit about this angle. Jade Cargill is going to hurt someone. Naomi, don't hate her.
She's the
don't
one.
like
Oh,
her.
not her. I think Jade Cargill. She's the one that like people were a couple of months back. Were all stunt casting as Storm. They're like make her Storm in
Correct.
the MCU.
Yeah, and like her intro literally says like a storm is coming. Like,
She's got that marketing down.
so they could play this multiple ways. They could draw this storyline out, have Naomi like cheat to win, and then Jade's got to get revenge. I just don't care enough to even
Eddie Guerrero
speculate.
style.
Yeah, I got to go with Jade. Like they'll have her destroy her. Like I just don't care. I hope this is a 3-minute match. I hope this is a 1-minute match. I just don't care. Yeah, you're exactly right. AEW reject. What do you think?
Yeah, I really have no idea about either of them.
We'll pick
They
one.
both look like stunt women or actors. So I'd just say yeah, Jade Cargill. She looks like she's gonna rip someone's head off.
Yeah. This is the toughest one. LA Knight, yep, versus Jacob Fatu. I don't know what they should do here because LA Knight, I don't say they've done a bad job with him, but they have been kind of like, all right, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. He took on Roman Reigns at the Crown Jewel Saudi Arabia event in the main event, like, I don't know, 3 Octobers ago. Of course he lost, but hey, he got to fight for the heavyweight title. Eventually he got into this program with AJ Styles, and it was kind of a weird program where he showed up at his house and stuff. Like, okay, is that like a heel or a babyface thing to do? It was kind of weird.
Is he turned into DDP, did he?
Yeah. So he eventually wins the U.S. title, loses it to Shinsuke Nakamura, wins it back just like a month ago. So what are they going to do here? At the same time, you don't want to kill Jacob's momentum because he has a lot right now. Like they're building him up. He's the Samoan werewolf, right? He's actually getting cheered. If he's beating up baby faces, they're cheering for Jacob Fatu. So what do you do here? Do you have LA Knight go over? Does it kill Jacob's momentum, his steam? I really don't know. At the same time, LA Knight, how old is he? Is he like 44 or something like that? He's 42, so but he's in great shape. The fans love him. He's kind of like one of those attitude era characters where fans are into the character. I really don't know what they're going to do here. But given the way that they've not been afraid to make LA Knight lose, I got to say, I think the Samoan werewolf is going to go over here. I'm going with Jacob Fatu.
Keep the Samoan momentum going.
Yeah.
Seemingly like there's a big surge of Owen and Islander talent that they're pushing in WWE. Like since The Rock came back, like and Roman Reigns is kind of the leader of it. But I think they're gonna they're gonna have a lot of gold.
Yeah. So what do you think?
I think Jacob wins.
Okay. All right. So this next one, did you get to see any of these clips of the off-script supposedly stuff?
Yeah, supposedly, yeah. And then some like sort of shoot-ish interviews or clips afterwards of like they're supposedly Flair's just going out for herself. It's all she's interested in is herself and all this stuff. I don't know if it's how much of a work it is or if it's just, if it's kind of more like Brett and Sean, like they really don't like each other, but they're gonna go out and do it anyway.
But WWE Junkie said it best, like, who cares? It doesn't matter. It's actually generating interest in the match because I don't think anyone gave a shit about it before that happened online.
No.
Honestly, like everyone's saying, oh, Charlotte's going to destroy her because they put the strap on Tiffany way too early. It wasn't Tiffy's time yet, but I don't know. Maybe that's what they want us to think. Maybe she goes ahead and puts her over. I don't think Tiffany's horrible. I mean, in the ring, character wise, she's not horrible at all. It's a good character. The fans seem to like the character. I'm really torn on this one too, but I don't want to go with the reverse psychology too much. Maybe the obvious choice is what it is, and I think Charlotte does go over, and then maybe a year from now, kind of like they did with Rhea, right? Tiffany eventually beats her. That's what I'm going to go with. I'm going to go with Charlotte Flair, even though I hate to do it. What do you think?
I think they just keep it on Tiffany.
Okay. Well, we disagree on that one, but we'll see what happens. Here we go. The main event of night one, Roman Reigns, CM Punk with Paul Heyman, because that was the favor. And now Paul owes Seth a favor because he didn't curb stomp him when he could have. Versus Seth Rollins. Like, this could go almost any way. But given the history, I think I have to go with Roman. It may be some kind of crazy finish, but I don't see how they leave WrestleMania without him winning, especially since he lost last year. It has to be Roman Reigns going over in a long, drawn out match in some kind of like just crazy finish where this happens, that happens, and he still wins.
Like, how many times is how many betrayals will Paul Heyman do within the match?
Yeah, no
He'll
shit.
switch from Punk to Steph and then end with.
Yeah, he'll
Roman
have
or
that
something.
look like,
Yeah,
you know,
I'm
one of those types of deals.
I was watching this hype package for this, and I'm so sick of Paul Heyman. Like, he's just the same character. Like, he's never evolved, and it's so boring now. Like,
Ladies and gentlemen,
yeah,
my
he's just a
name
mouthpiece.
is Paul Heyman. Yeah.
Like, to me, he's like he's just a mouthpiece to these uncharismatic non-talkers. Like, Brock Lesnar was the worst to me. And Paul's, Paul's never really changed.
Brock never should have gone over Undertaker at WrestleMania. He didn't need to.
No.
But he's best used when he comes out and comes in and does his thing and kind of destroys someone, or if he gets destroyed, it's for a good reason. But he doesn't even need a talker.
Further. No.
Uh-huh.
No. Like, I'm going to go back even further. Brock never should have been booked to beat Austin that night when Austin walked out.
Okay.
Like, going back that far, like, that's when Brock should have started having matches where he was, a drawn out match with Austin. Like, and Austin just beats him kind of thing. And then
That's
Brock
fair
sort of
enough.
comes, like, Brock was like Goldberg. It's just, it became so boring just watching them smash.
Yeah, that's fair enough. All right, so who
Yeah, I
who are
could
you
see
gonna go
Roman
with?
winning, but I could also see CM Punk winning. Like, if Paul Heyman doesn't do any backstabs or anything like that, like getting CM Punk that main event WrestleMania win, and Punk, kind of starts to wind down a bit, and maybe starts to more pay-per-view, or not, they don't call them pay-per-views anymore, more events where he's losing, like SummerSlam's coming up, all the way up to next Mania, where maybe he has a big loss to someone to put someone, maybe, like, by the time that way Jacob Fatu or Jey Uso or something. Like Punk's the next guy, because how much longer do you reckon Punk's got left?
You know what's funny? Whenever he comes out, my wife's like, he looks like a guy that works in an office and then just
Yeah,
like has tattoos and takes his shirt off and becomes a wrestler on the weekend. And I'm like,
yeah.
yeah, I don't
He
know.
looks very skinny now.
He does, but I don't think he's in necessarily horrible shape. I think he'd go
No,
another
I don't think he's in bad
5
shape,
years. I
but
mean,
yeah. I just don't think
I'm
he's
not a huge
got
fan
the
of the guy, but I
style.
think he'd go another 5 years. So,
You reckon with his style? Like, I know he's not like a high flyer and everything, but he's kind of, he gets injured a lot with what he
mhm,
does,
mhm.
and I don't know if he's gonna, if he can last like another 5 years
There's no reason.
as a guy winning those sort of matches. Like, I can see him lasting another 5 years, putting people over, but I can't see him lasting another 5 years as a day one main eventer.
Wow, that's a bold prediction by King Chris there.
Mm.
But here's the thing, the way you're thinking about it, Blake, is like logically, but what do you think they're going to do? And
Yeah. Well, I mean,
historically, Roman Reigns is going to win, and that's my
yeah,
prediction. Period.
I can agree with that, because it's almost like a Cena or a Triple H. Like, they don't let them lose those main event spots too many times in a row.
Yeah.
And these other two, like Roman, like, granted, I haven't been watching a lot of wrestling over the last 10 years. CM Punk and Seth Rollins don't seem to be on the same card status as Roman Reigns has been for the last few years.
Yeah. Yeah.
Look at this venue here. This place is apropos, and that don't mean you're digging around in the dirt with farm implements, baby.
All right. So that's night one. Let me ask you this. Should we do night two after, like, we recap night one, or should we do it now?
We just do it like we'll treat this as our rough draft if you want to come back to it.
Okay. All right. So I don't know if somebody who put this in here in Wikipedia has some inside info, but they've got Io Sky, the champion, versus Bianca versus Rhea Ripley. They really tried to play up this angle, and I thought it was just silly and stupid. But there's no way that Io retains. Okay, let's just admit that. It's really who's going to win it. Is it Bianca or Rhea Ripley? Rhea's wanted it at WrestleMania before, in grand fashion. I got to go with I think Bianca is going to win the title.
I don't know. Like, she seemed to be getting a huge push, Rhea, and then she got that injury, didn't she?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can see her getting it back, and
Yeah, but is she like
maybe I'm
Flair
just
at
the
this?
Australian talking.
Well, is she like Flair at this point where she doesn't need it? You know what I mean?
Yeah, but then but then then who's she gonna be up against next, kind of thing. Like,
Right.
if Bianca wins, like, are they gonna start a program and she'd get the belt back eventually, or is she gonna
Yeah.
be more fighting like wrestling people like Io, like not for the belt kind of thing, but more as a like a feature,
Right.
kind of like
Yeah,
what
it's
Gunther
possible.
might be if Gunther loses, he might not necessarily need the belt, but he becomes like a like the not necessarily the top main eventer, but like the top mid card bottom main eventer sort of thing, like that sort of just on the edge of that barrier.
Got it. So are you going with her then, or?
Yeah, I can see Rhea Ripley winning again.
All right. So you're going with Rhea. I'm going with Bianca. Next match, This is kind of a shoehorn. This is the heat match for night 2. Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez versus Bailey and Lyra. I'm sorry, Valkyria. Don't really give a shit. But I think that Liv and Raquel go over, and then Bailey and Lyra have heat, and then a program starts there. So I'm going with Liv and Raquel.
Yeah. Also, yeah, this order's weird. Like, I would think AJ Styles and Logan Paul would open up
Mm-hmm.
night 2.
Yeah, hype the
Like,
crowd.
going by this,
Logan
like, yeah,
wants to
if you're
go
gonna,
home first. Yeah.
yeah, but
Logan
also,
Paul
like,
has left the building.
yeah, like almost everything else is for a belt. So it's, you get the non-championship match out of the way early, and then you've got more chance to build up. This one, I really have no idea. I've heard the names a couple of times before, but I have no idea about any. They didn't even really have much of a hype thing for it. I could see, like, just I was watching a like a prediction kind of thing, and they said
Mhm.
it was really just like the rotating chairs of the women's tag division. It's like the same teams just keep like winning it over and over again. So he's like, he goes Bailey and Lyra, and then someone else will come, and who cares?
Got it. Well, yeah,
He
I
said
just see
same,
them.
he's something similar to the men's tag as well. So
I see them retaining. Like I said, for the reasons I stated. I think they'll start up a program between Bailey and Lyra because when they had a match a few weeks ago, she got mad that she lost, and she'll try to put her over, even though like Lyra is one of those, oh, I'm throwing a forearm smash and it looks like I'm barely touched. They're just, in general, women wrestlers are not good. But King Chris says Belair needs a heel turn. Well, if you've watched a lot of these segments and promos, the the fans, the crowds don't like her, and I think they're leaning toward that. They've been booing her a lot, kind of like with Jacob Fatu. They're cheering him when he's supposed to be a heel. So I don't think they're gonna keep trying to push her as a face when she's not being accepted as one. Dustin LC's in the house saying, "Let's go."
you have to face facts eventually. Like, even that's what made The Rock. Like, they were trying to push him as the face, but the people, and then he got sick of it. Like, the
Right.
die Rocky die chance.
Yeah. AJ Styles versus Logan Paul. This is a pretty tough one because Logan Paul's done some jobs, and it's fine because, it's not going to hurt him. The fans are going to hate him when he comes out. He's going to get heat and all that stuff. At the same time, like, does AJ Styles need this win? This is a tough one, kind of like with LA Knight and
this is
Jacob Fatu.
Yeah, this is what I'd think would be like a throwback to the old days, like a I hate to say this, but because AJ Styles is AJ Styles, and Logan Paul's pretty athletic and seems to be able to do some things in the ring, but it seems to me like an attempt at like a macho steamboat type match, like.
Mm-hmm.
That it's like almost like WWE trying to go, this is going to be our 5-star match of the card. But I mean, AJ Styles is great. I just think Logan Paul is boring.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of him being in the company. I'm just not. He gets X-Pac heat from me, but if it works for other fans, great. But again, like King Chris, does he need to put him over? No matter what, he's going to go out there and he's going to get heat. Like, he main evented with Roman Reigns at one of the Saudi Arabia events. So I don't know. I think this is a toss-up. And AJ did put over LA Knight and stuff. So I think it's time for him to get a win. I think AJ's going to go over on this one. Well, I'm picking AJ.
kind of like with Punk, what I was saying before, how much longer do you reckon AJ Styles has with his athleticism? Because that's kind of what he's known for. He's like his technique and his skill in the ring. Like you can only sort of keep that up for so long. Do you think he's going to be like a more of a, not jobbing for people, but putting on these good matches and sort of trying to put the other people over, like kind of like a Piper versus Bret Hart at WrestleMania 8?
Yeah. Yeah, good point. Yeah, Melissa agrees. X-Pac Heat. So who you gonna go with then?
See, I could see Logan Paul winning this because I don't think
All right.
AJ Styles is going to be
All
around
right.
too much longer. But
Another one
you'd
we
want to give
disagree
you'd
on.
want to give him like a big, if it's gonna be set up to be like a great match, like they're gonna give him time for it and everything. You'd
Right.
want to see AJ Styles go out at WrestleMania and win these sort of things, because Logan Paul really he's just a part timer. Like
Right.
you talk about other people who are part time in the industry. That dude's like less than part time.
This one I'm not very happy with. Braun Breaker versus Penta versus Finn Balor versus Dominic Mysterio. This should be a regular one-on-one match, and it should be Braun versus Penta. Finn Balor is a case of, hey, here's a textbook example of how to just like totally torpedo a wrestler's character and career, because over the last 3 years, that's what they've done. Like he had a lot of momentum going back about 5-6 years ago, and it's all just been like killed. And a lot of it, and I hate to say this, and you'll think I'm crazy, but a lot of it's the theme music. Royal Rumble, if you go back and watch Royal Rumble, about 20% of the people that come out, there was no reaction at all, because that stupid company that they're using for the music now, like, just make dog shit music. It's all mainly like rap crap that all sounds the same. And the Judgment Day
Is it
theme is like that. It's like, oh, who's coming out now?
is
It's
it
not
Rick
Finn
Rubin
Balor.
now?
No, it's not CFO, it's Def Rebel. And then just a few weeks ago, we got to have a stream on this, like Jim Johnston, like spilling the beans on why he got fired and everything. That guy is a legend,
Oh
like
yeah,
by far
like
better
when
than
you
Jimmy Hart and everyone else.
yeah, like you talk about like we've on the channel before, we've talked about many times like movies and how important music is to something like Star Wars, like that theme song to Star Wars. Like you hear that theme song and you automatically think of Star Wars and you get all those memories and emotions rushing back. You hear these entrance songs for, The Undertaker, Stone Cold, The Rock, like Shawn Michaels, like all these ones going back, like
Scott Steiner.
Heart Attack, Heart Attack, Bret Hart, like all these ones going back, Macho Man, like all these things, like Jim Johnson is as much a part of building those characters as almost as
Correct.
Vince is, with like Vince's little outline that he gives them, and then the wrestlers go off and do their own stuff. But Johnson, when he works with them to create that theme song, like he's doing as much character development with them as anyone else is. Like he was so
Yep.
important to everything.
Outback Jack.
Yeah.
Tiny kangaroo dance, spoke. Tiny kangaroo dance. It's like, how can you not love that entrance theme? Boy, that guy's like build up was like nothing. He became a jobber on Superstars within 3 months.
Yeah.
Oh man.
He should have
But
joined
they were
the
building up all
Bushwhackers
these
as a third.
beignets, and in fact, I was watching late '86 prime time the other night, and he was out there with the natives and stuff, painting his face and all that. So
That'd go down well today.
riding Crocodile Dundee is what that was.
Yeah. That'd go down well today.
But let's get this fat guy missing all his teeth. That'll work out really well. Anyway, this match. So I wanted Braun Breaker versus Penta. I don't know if you know anything about Penta, but he
Not a lot.
was. I don't want to say he was an AEW product because he came out of Mexico and stuff, but he certainly got a lot of exposure and didn't like it there. So he got out and came on over, and they're actually pushing him. Like, not just, oh, he's on main event. That's like their, C show and stuff now, their D show. He's on like Raw every single week, and the crowd freaking loves him and stuff. Look him up, and here, let's see if there's a picture here. Yeah, so he's got a great look and stuff, and I wanted him versus Braun Breaker because you know who Braun Breaker is, right?
Yeah, I've seen him before.
Yeah, that's Rick Steiner's son. So
Yeah.
he's kind of like a blend of Scott and Rick together, and he does these freaking spears that are like the greatest spears in the history of wrestling. He did one the other day running toward the ring, and I can't remember who it was. They were standing like maybe 10 feet from the ring, and he hit them, and his whole body like pivots in the air and flies. It's freaking amazing. But all they're trying to do here is give Finn and Dominic like a WrestleMania paycheck, and then they'll turn on
Yeah.
each other because no one cares about that stupid storyline for a stable that was started by Edge, who hasn't been in the company now for what, 3 years? Something like that. Like, who cares about Judgment Day? Yeah, Cope. What a dumbass name. What a dumbass for going to that company. But
he's gonna start a tag team, Cope and Seed.
yeah.
But yeah, I like you were saying, this to me, this is exactly that. Like, it's like making it a 4-way. It's almost an excuse to put members in there that aren't on the card that they want on the card.
At least do it ECW style and have it be an elimination match. You know what I mean? So that Braun can't get screwed over because Penta pins like Dominic or something like that.
Yeah, like the old day schmoz where it's just going to end in a bit of a fuck around anyway. But yeah, you've got to, like, you really risk that in a fatal four. Anything can happen. I gets out, one guy gets done. It's the if you wanted a straight up, because you'd think Dominic Mysterio would like get something back, or like have some sort of momentum going forward. But this Braun Breaker dude, I've his name like in lots of different plays and clips and stuff, and he seems to be a guy that they're pretty much well behind. But I could see I could see Dominic winning.
Wow. So is that your pick then?
No, I'd say Braun.
Okay. So yeah, Braun had a rough build up in NXT. He started out as like, hey, we're going to push him as, the monster baby face. And it kind of like, started dying out. So they're like, we got to do something else. Then eventually they brought him up, and it started out slow, but over the last, 6 months, it started working. And I'm like, you got to give a guy like that high impact moves and really make him seem like he is a monster. And it seems to be working. But only 2 people are going to possibly win this match. And it's either Braun or Penta. Again, Finn and Dominic will do some kind of thing where they turn on each other and start an angle. I could see them giving it to Penta because, hey, he's got a lot of momentum. I don't think it would hurt Braun. But
would he go higher than Braun? Would he like go up to challenge like something like Gunther or someone next?
Not yet. I see Braun going over. I think they're going to have him retain, and it'll be one of those things where they'll have a competitive match, but he'll be dominating toward the end of the match. He'll kind of Hulk up type of thing and start spearing people. That's going to be my guess.
Start shaking the ropes like the Warrior.
Oh, he kind of does that. Yeah, it's crazy. Like, he must like snort like a foot-long line of cocaine before he goes out there, because he's like hyped up. So.
Just like the Warrior.
Yeah. Doo-doo. Next up, I give no shits about this match. In fact, I have not seen any of the buildup for this on YouTube or anywhere. Like, I didn't even know this was a thing. Like,
Yeah.
Damian Priest versus Drew McIntyre. Like, I wasn't a fan of Damian Priest with the World Heavyweight Championship. And Drew has had a really weird couple of years. I don't think he's gotten screwed over because I don't think he really deserved to beat Roman Reigns or anything like that. But at the same time, they've been really weird with him. Like, they had CM Punk win that feud and some other stuff, but I just don't give a shit about this match.
Yeah.
But the way they've been treating Drew, like losing and losing and losing, I think Damian Priest wins. Triple
this is
H
like I was
likes
talking-
Damian Priest for whatever reason.
Yeah. This is like I was talking about before. It's like this log jam just underneath the main event level that they have. They've like got all these
Wow.
like mid-carders that are kind of not really ready or not really accepted as main eventers, that they're trying to just push over that edge. Like, well, like, pun intended. Like, back in the day, like when Edge was sort of going from a IC champion to them pushing him as a singles main event sort of level champion, I never bought it. I never bought a lot of those guys they tried to elevate because, you know, none of them were really that exciting. Like, they were good middle of the show wrestlers, but they weren't the people you ended the show with. They weren't the Undertaker, Kane. They weren't Rock, Austin. They weren't, you know, Angle, Triple H. All these guys that they were trying to follow. You know, like even like Benoit to a degree, like Eddie Guerrero. Like they were like the start of that, but no one really followed them. And
Right.
this is kind of like the same to me. I like how they try and interest it up a bit with the Sin City street fight aspect. Like, what are they going to be going through the parking lot? They're going to be going through, you know, it's going to be one of those
Yeah.
sort of garbage sort of
Gold
shit-
Dust
shit
versus
fest.
Roddy Piper.
yeah, like it's
Hollywood
gonna be
backlot brawl.
Yeah, like that sort of garbage where they can just go out and do some stuff in the and film it, and the technicians can go out, set up some, you know, pyrotechnics and stuff around the ring that they need to for the main event to start. Like, that's the kind of the match it really seems to be.
Yeah. I disagree with Mr. T. I think they have Damien go over because they like to have Drew lose. What do you think?
Oh, I don't really know either of these people, but yeah, I could say Damian Priest, because Drew just seems like someone who's sort of like there for the mid card now.
Have you ever seen the clip of when Vince brought him out?
I don't think so.
It was a long time ago, like 12 years ago. He was young and skinny and he had a shaven face. And it's like, I'm going to bring out the future of the world wrestling entertainment. And he comes out and, you know, and the crowd was like, no, fuck this.
Yeah,
They
like,
hated it.
when has that
Yeah.
ever worked? Like when they
Yeah.
brought out John Cena with the short shorts, like the tight, like colored shorts when he first started, like John Cena just out of
Yeah.
OVW. It's like, nah.
you
And
know-
then they put him in the jorts. They put him in the jean shorts, and it worked.
Did you know his character in OVW?
I can't remember the name off the top of my head. No.
He was like
Was it-
prototype.
Yeah, something.
And he was
stupid.
supposed to be like an android or something. They should have done that where he's like just comes out and like has a serious face and kicks ass. That would have been kind of badass. But
The Terminator.
winner bings a hooker to win. Damn.
Yeah, like.
All
Like,
right.
there'll be some sort of slot machine involved. Like someone will get thrown into one and it'll go off, and then it'll be a winner, and there'll be coins splurting out.
Yeah. Here's the next one. This is the big one. So Cody versus John. Now, here's the thing. You could say, okay, John can win it. and carry the belt, and he's going to leave the company with the belt. That's what he said in these promos. And you could have like a storyline with that, and eventually Cody or whoever gets it back, or you could go ahead and have Cody win, and then John finishes up his career and has
As a
more
heel.
matches. Yeah, I mean, I don't know where they're going to go with this, but if I had to pick, they've given Cody an entire year, and the fans didn't turn on him like the AEW shitheads. I think they got a little bit cringe in some of the pay-per-views over the summer and fall, but I think they've kind of brought it back to where they're not like over pushing him as champion and making it seem illegitimate. So I think the fans are behind him, but I could see them giving it to John because I don't think it'll hurt Cody at this point, and I think there's more story there if he does win it. Imagine that Raw the next night when he comes out with the belt, like with the booze and all that. He has the belt, so I gotta go with John. John Cena's gonna win.
Well, yeah. I mean, if he doesn't, I mean, it's way too soon. Do you think it's got to be way too soon for him to do a switch back to face? Like, Rock comes out or something, and Cody's getting decimated by people, and it's almost like John Cena has that change of heart moment, and he goes back to, like, they can't do that so soon, can they? Like, he's got to stay heel till the end of this WrestleMania, at least. Like, he can't leave the event as a face, surely.
Right.
So I don't see Cena losing as a heel and then disappearing for a while. Like, what's he got to do after that sort of thing? Like, he doesn't really have any next step. So I think John Cena has to win, and I think he has to continue on, like you said, like as the shit heel on TV weekly. Like, they can't have like a John Cena or a champion that's like The Rock, who's just going to be absent for like 3 months at a time. He'll come back and do one thing to lead up to a pay-per-view, and then he's disappearing again. Like,
Well,
if
and
Cena's
how
gonna be their
does
heel champion, like, he's got to be there.
how does the final boss come into play here? Because he'll have to show up somehow. I
Yeah.
could I could see there being some kind of like a screw job or whatever, because I don't think they'll let John beat him clean necessarily.
No.
But the way they're building this up, it's like, oh man, it's obviously Cody's all confident and stuff, and
Well,
he's gonna go over, but oh, is he really? So
Listen, hear me out on this conspiracy theory and thread, because it's kind of hinted at in the notes just under there on the Wikipedia page. Cena wins. It may not be next WrestleMania. They may not wait that long. They may do it a lot earlier. Do you see Cena wrestling Ric Flair coming back to wrestle Cena for his last match?
no.
I mean, he's tied for the title. Like, Ric Flair comes back, challenges Cena for the title. It's like, one of us is gonna go, and if you beat me, like, I'll beat you, and I'm gonna retire as the number
The
one.
man can
champion.
barely walk.
I know, but he's still gonna have another match. Like, Ric Flair will have another match. It's guaranteed.
Dude, he could barely walk at his final one. Like, what was that, 3 years ago? In fact, like, he was supposed to have his pacemaker and all that. I just, no, you're crazy for saying that. I think that, here's my prediction: there's some kind of ending, with Rock, and Cena wins, and then he goes on this quote unquote tour, and then his last match, Cody gets it back somehow, and then Cena like shakes his hand or whatever. That's, and they're not friends again, but
Cena would have to switch back, like he'd have to switch back to face. Like, it'd have to be like Cody wins it back from him after Roman or Rock come out and interfere and stuff, and the odds are against Cody, and John Cena sees it. Almost like the Hogan and Rock ending
Yeah.
in a way. Like so they started out with Hogan as the heel, and then by the end of the match, Hogan's a face again, and goes back to the his regular red and yellow moving forward for a while in WWE.
Right.
Like I could see something like that happening, but how long away? Like SummerSlam maybe, or
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, maybe. Survivor Series, who knows?
yeah, Survivor Series maybe, like sort of like late this year.
So
Because
Mr.
you don't
T
know,
says,
because I don't know how busy like Cena is outside of WWE as well. Because I know he's got
no
that
telling.
Peacemaker show. I don't know how much longer that's going to go for, and he's
Yeah,
got like
and Flair has a pacemaker show. So,
yeah, that's the thing. Like it's Peacemaker versus Pacemaker. That could be the
yeah.
billing right there on the marquee.
Somebody make that meme.
Yeah.
Mr. T says, here's long take. Cena wins Sunday. Here's why. He needs it because if he loses it, it hurts his heel turn.
Absolutely.
Cena keeps it until December. Well, maybe December, maybe that late in the year.
Hmm.
Rollins mirrored the same exact I do what's best for business in his promo last week. Same shit John said before he turned heel. Rollins helped Cody win the belt last year. Now he'll cost him it. Okay, so you're saying he gets involved. They gonna set Cena up to lose to some original guy like Rock. No.
Yeah.
Rollins and maybe even Heyman join the Rocking Company. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe that could be. Rock signaled there would be 3 people. Well, he made 2. Yeah, so who knows? Spinner, then Cody, the spinner belt, then Cody has the chase and beats him. Here's why. The last PLE is December at Madison Square Garden. Cody beats Cena at Madison Square Garden and wins the title that Dusty couldn't win. And Cody does it. Then Cody turns. Wow. That's elaborate. Bring back Hall and Nash. Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen, pal.
Well, one of them definitely is not coming back.
They can bring back the guy that was the fake Razor, remember?
Yeah.
I can't think of that guy's name. Cena to the light. Then at WrestleMania next year, it's Cody versus Rock. I don't want to see that.
What's the
Like I
light?
said, I don't know. Like I said, if he did the Doctor of Thugonomics gimmick, yeah.
Yeah, that's how
Bring
he should have
back-
come back as the heel. Like his first promo back as the heel should have been a Thugonomics rap.
Yeah. No, this right here with Smorgan, I got to agree because, dude, when like 99, 2000, when she didn't have that much makeup on, but she's got these mini skirts and tight shirts on before the boob job, like she is like smoking hot.
She had a
And
boob
she
job.
and I can say
couldn't
that
tell.
because she's like my age. She's like 6 months or 4 months younger than I am, I think. So anyway, what'd you say?
Oh, I just said like she had a boob job. I couldn't tell.
Yeah.
That.
Remember what Chris Jericho said?
Yeah.
Your theme music says let the bodies hit the floor. I think it should be let the boobies hit the floor.
It was just one of those things like she just comes back like looking like that and you're like, really? Like
Yeah.
no one's gonna say anything. But then, it started to get worked into the promos and stuff pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Because I mean the fan the fan reaction to Stephanie when she came back was a lot different than when she left.
Yeah. With Cena as champ, Punk, Roman, and Orton can all chase him until Cody eventually beats him and Cena realizes he fucked up and finishes as a face. Yeah, maybe. And
Well, he's
let's
gotta
talk
finish his
about that,
career
though.
as a face.
Yeah, let's talk about Orton because I don't know that the KO thing isn't an angle, and call me a mark or conspiracy theorist, but I just thought it was weird. Like, hey, you've been wrestling for months, weeks after that ladder match, and then suddenly you can't wrestle in WrestleMania? Like, that's kind of weird. So if it isn't really KO versus Orton, he has to have some kind of match. I mean, so I don't know how it's going to happen. Look at some of these garbage matches on this card.
Yeah,
Like, yeah, like
like you were talking
give
about them
Orton a
before,
match.
the glorified heat matches, some of them.
Yeah, at least two of them. Like, give Orton a match. Something has to happen there. I don't even have a theory on what it is because I'm not like pro wrestling theory. That's not the name of my channel. But and by the way, like, you can now get your theory belts, right? Here's my theory belt from China. But who knows what's going to happen with Orton?
This is the theory belt.
Yeah.
It's nothing on the front. It's just nothing.
Hmm. So that's what's going on, guys. Everyone watching, either on United Spacers Alliance or on the WWV World Wrestling Veneration channel. Those are our predictions, and we plan on going live. It's going to be pretty late. And again, if people aren't tuning in at that time, they can always watch the replay. And it's not going to be a super long stream. Just want to kind of go over, hey, what happened and stuff like that each night. But there's a lot of content. In fact, I've missed a lot of it today. There's been content today. And again, in about 15 hours, Stand and Deliver is going to start. And then you got the pre-show Hall of Fame in about 2 hours from now. There's just all kinds of content out there surrounding WrestleMania, guys. Mr. T says, Drew could join The Rock. They're not going to do that. They're not going to do anything with Drew. I'm not saying they're trying to get him to quit, because I think he's a company guy. I don't think, I'm going to go to AEW and, get watered down even more. But I don't think they're ever going to, because I don't think he really deserves it. I don't think he's that great. He's not horrible, but he's just not like, this is the face of the company like Vince wanted him to be. I don't think they're going to do anything like that, Mr. T. If they do, then I'll admit to you that I'm totally wrong, but I just don't see it happening. All right, I think that's it, Blake. Any final words?
Just touching on the Hall of Fame.
Yes.
Who's the big inductee this year? It was
Triple H.
That's right.
I always think of that Obama meme where he's like pinning a medal on himself,
It seems that way, doesn't it? Like the start of the Triple
No,
H
I don't
era.
disagree. Here's the thing.
And a year in, he's already in the fucking Hall of Fame.
But here's the thing. I hate the WWE Hall of Fame. Like, I like to watch it because of the speeches, but that Hall of Fame means nothing. No. Like the real Hall of Fames, the one in Iowa and then the one in Las Vegas, those are like the real ones that your peers vote you into. All this one is like, who could we put in that would be interesting for the ceremony and stuff?
Who do we need? Yeah, like we need some quasi promotion of an event, like an anniversary of an event or something that we can use.
And again, I watch it because I want to see the speeches and all that. But at some point you're going to run out of people to put in there. Like, let's put Coco Beware in there if he's not already. Who knows? Like
Frankie the Bird.
That'd be hilarious. Put Frankie in, but not Coco. No, but I want to meet Coco. I've heard he's fantastic to meet because he'll sit there and talk with you for a long time about the stuff. A lot of them are like, here's my autograph. Get the fuck out of my face. But
yeah, Coco was so over back in the day.
Oh yeah.
Like, people don't realize, like, you could be kind of like just considered a mid-carder or even a low carder and still be hugely over with how I guess how rigid it was at the top back then. Hogan didn't let anyone up on his pedestal, but all these low, like, you could see, considered lower guys were so popular and so over with the crowd, it was ridiculous. Even like Junkyard Dog. Yeah.
I'm sorry if that's true, Mr. T. I'm laughing. Anyway, no, I think JYD went in like a long time ago.
Oh yeah, he
20
should be. Like he was like legitimately like a star.
Dude, like his Mid-South work was really amazing. You got to see that. But anyway, yeah, we'll talk more about that after it actually happens, and let's see what's said and how it plays out and all that stuff. We can talk about that, maybe on night 2. And again, thanks King Chris. Subscribe to WWV channel. We want to get
Yep.
it up to 1,000. I want videos and live streams to go viral. Again,
Get up to 93,000.
yeah, 93,000. Wrestling channels come a dime a dozen, but I think we have a different take here, and we always have. If you missed it, go back and watch our stream where we broke down the Janelle Grant lawsuit from a couple of years ago. That was fantastic. But yeah, quite frankly, we've been going for 2:45. I got to take a piss and go have some dinner. I ate about 8 hours ago, so I'm getting pretty hungry again, guys. So thanks for being here. Really happy with the turnout on a wrestling stream. And Blake, thanks for being here. And I guess we'll talking about 27, 28 hours.
Yeah, no worries.
All right, everyone. Thanks for being here. We will
Smash the thumbs up.
see you tomorrow night.
We coming for you.